Button. We are live, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Sup?
So,
Doc, would you like to begin?
I didn't know. Is there an intro that you do normally?
I was thinking we'd just roll right into what you were offering.
All right. I'm going to be leading everybody in a quick little modified version of the Lotus Sutra. So we can start with a nice clean meditation. During this time of meditation, just visualize, the things that you want to happen to you or to somebody else. Positive things, people, positive. All right. And so I will lead it. You all keep up with my my speed. And I start by ringing my little gong 3 times. Then I do a slow one. And once I speed up is when you all join in. All right. And then I will ring the gong 3 times. And I will do the slow sutra. And that'll give you time to give thanks to the ancestors and to anyone that you feel you need to give thanks to. And then I will ring the gong 3 more times, and then it'll be done. All right. Just it is recommended that you don't close your eyes. Just find a point and stare, because it's kind of like self-hypnosis as well. Okay. Now, again, the chant is Nam Yoho Renge Kyu. All right. Now, where did I put my little there? Nam Yoho Renge Kyu. 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 Ta-da! Shishiko!
Thank you, Doc.
Awesome.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for letting me indulge.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for that.
So I've noticed a trend online.
What's that?
People sharing pictures of their altars and their sacred spaces and their ritual items.
Right?
Are they unaware that if they do that, they are just letting their back door open for anybody to come and fuck with them magically, as it were?
So that depends on your understanding of what your ritual tools are, do, and want. If somebody sees your ritual tools, who gives a shit? You should be cleansing them before and after every use anyway.
I'm talking about the whole ritual space.
If the ritual is over and the space is no longer being active,
you can still use it. It's like taking a picture of somebody and doing a binding ritual of it. Yeah, they're not doing that action in that picture anymore, but the stuff is still there. The energies are still there. Once the energy is created, it cannot be destroyed.
Exactly.
Just merely pushed aside.
Mm-hmm. So when you,
I guess it's my own paranoia that it's like I wouldn't show my ritual area to people.
Right. It's called sacred for a reason. It's sacred.
There are certain things which are good to be visualized. There are certain things which are fine to be shared with. But let's assume for a second, one, you need to, for the sake of history, record your altar space. How are you going to do that? Right?
Okay. You can record your altar space. That's not what I'm saying. It's the posting it online.
Media. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And that goes back to the whole, my theory that cameras, digital cameras, take slivers of your soul and upload it.
That's, again, I'd say that branches into a tad bit of paranoia. Because if you've got your protections in place, then you're fine. If your tools are protected, you're fine. If your space is protected,
I know. I'm just saying.
Don't breed fear where there's no need for fear.
It's not fear. It's discretion. I'm advocating for discretion.
Okay. Discretion on some things is warranted. Yes, absolutely. Discretion on other things, not so much so.
Well, that's true. I'm just saying because. You have to admit, there's a lot of people who practice nowadays who have had no formal training.
Shut the door, please.
Except for bits and pieces and books and stuff like that. And so what are the, I just want to advocate for discretion and for people to know more. Does that make sense? Like, there's a difference between if you post your sacred space, right? You know how to definitively keep people out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Some 16-year-old girl who just started getting into Wicca doesn't.
Mm-hmm. I see where you're coming from with this. Maybe we should talk about some shielding and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I think that would be a good some good shielding rites and rituals and stuff like that.
But see, Doc, this is one of the first times you're actually joining us. These guys have been through at least 1 year of protective magics, 1 year of connecting to flow, 1 year of being aware of how to do all of these things. Just spent a month working with protective magics with Home and Star.
Hell yeah. You guys are awesome. See, this is why I'm bringing it to the council.
Yeah, it's already part of the program, man. Like, you got to catch up.
Well, like you said, I'm new.
Yep.
So forgive my ignorance.
No, you're fine. It's just when you're approaching these things, while you're developing, there is a sort of grace that befalls students. You can get away with more shit while you're learning for the sake of learning because you're not who you were the day before.
I don't want to get away with shit. So please call me out whenever I fuck up.
Oh, he will. Trust me, he will.
Oh, I do.
I do not want special. I don't want special or preferential treatment.
Of course not. Like, he calls me out definitely.
I haven't seen anybody get that yet, and I've been here for a while, so good luck with that.
And I don't mean to be a dick about it. What's up, Gypsy Auditor? How you doing, man?
Gypsy, what's up,
I have
buddy?
someone here visiting as well.
What's up? Hello, people in the background.
Yep, there's just Haley who came back. We've been talking about for months.
That's fantastic. So, Wicked Angel just did one of the most important rites in the Grimoire of Arts today.
The Rite of Transformation.
The Rite of Transformation. You align the body to the planetary energies. It's a showcase of the work that she just did. The reason why I have no fear of showing the ritual of transformation is because as soon as it's over, she gets to become whoever she wants. It's not specifically set to one behavior modality or another, because now it's all of it.
Yeah.
It's like, as Headmaster Kingsley of the Grey School put it, the magical poo-poo platter, right? It connects the entire body to the smorgasbord of energies that are viable within it.
Yeah. Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
1 second, guys.
Yeah. So, would you like to walk us through a little bit of your setup and stuff before I roll the clip?
The setup was just fun. Oh my gosh. Trying to get everything right. It was fun. It actually was getting everything set up, you know, trying to get everything right. Place everything in the right spot. I think the closer I got to the setup, to finishing the setup, the more excited I got. It was like, well, like I told him, I woke up feeling like my nerves were standing on end. You know, first thing this morning. And well, and like I told him afterwards, and it didn't hit me till afterwards. I had this really weird dream last night. I don't know if it was connected to what happened today, what was gonna happen. Hold on. I've never had this kind of dream. I've never, it's just really odd. I dreamt that it's a really tall, dark-robed man, a figure. It kept waking me up, holding out its hand for me to come with him. The edging on the robe was in really old type symbols. And that's all I remember. I don't remember going, if I went with him. I don't remember anything. I just woke up and started preparing for the rite of transformation.
Did you happen to remember any of the symbols on the robe?
That's when I know they're old. And I literally fell asleep racking my brain trying to figure out, to remember the symbols. But it was a really wide band that went around the arms and the hood. But I can't get the symbols in my head yet.
Do you remember? You said it was a dark.
Old.
You said it was a dark robe. Like, was it like a dark brown, dark gray, black? Dark black, like almost Venta?
Yeah.
And what was the trim?
It was a gold trim with the really old symbols on it. It was a nice size trim too. I mean,
it'll be.
I know I've seen it before, but
was it like ground on the ground, or was it off the ground?
What?
I'm sorry. I came in halfway through. What are we talking about fully before I say anything else? A dream, right? A dream where you saw someone?
Yeah, this was last night before everything started. It was a tall, dark robed figure. He kept waking me up and holding his hand out, like for me to take his hand and follow him to go with him. I don't remember because then I woke up, and when I woke up, I jumped up and went right out to get started.
Do you remember what color the symbols were, at least?
They were gold.
So gold on gold?
Yeah, the trim around the symbols was gold, and the symbols inside were gold.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it'll be neat if you get to draw those out.
Like,
can I posit a theory?
Huh?
Can I posit a theory?
Sure.
I think it was an aspect of death, not as the ending of life, but as like the tarot cards would mean, a transformation, a sudden change. And it was made manifest in your dreams, meaning that it was like a really good omen of go ahead, it's gonna go awesome.
But what I'm thinking is also it could possibly have been hooded. Like Mike, you said you met the what's the word I'm looking for? I have it here somewhere. Under line. If I remember correctly, it's not archetype, it's patron. Could it possibly been your patron before contacting you before the rite of transformation?
That's possible. That is very, very possible.
Distinct
Walking me through it.
So this goes to the work that we've done on the Academy before for years. Daniel's in the wings. He's just got to get all of his stuff connected. So this will be fun to get him to join us. But those shadow figures, right? Those are traditionally the things I send out to protect students. Those are traditionally there are shadow figures in black robes that go forth and watch the students as they prepare these big rituals. Like it's the shadow creatures. I've sent them to Mike. I send them out to protect the students when they're going through periods of flux. Like Mike's seen them. And it's the fact that you've got the detailing. The colors that I use are violet and black. The gold is a different type.
That's why I was wondering if the robe was touching the ground. Normally in royalty, the longer your hood, your cloak, the more valuable you were as a person.
Yes.
One thing to also consider when it comes to the color gold, because gold is like one of the prominent metals. When we're talking about otherworldly things and paranormal things, we can't rule out the Anunnaki. That's why they came here, was for gold. When they show up in your dreams and they're gold colored, it takes suit to that.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
And the fact that the ritual that you were about to undergo does what it does and is supposed to put you into direct contact and alignment with those forces. The fact that they're reaching out to you in your dreams before you do the spell, urging you to finish the spell, is phenomenal. Like they are the emissary to which you are meeting so that you can go forth and meet them. And that's what that ritual does. And the fact that you're getting visitations, the fact that you're getting manifestation of visitations in the same way that Mike was getting Anina in through his tarot cards.
Yes, they're playing me.
Speaking of dreams,
it was.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
It was
interrupt.
different. Like I said, I've never had one where I seen something like that, so I figured it was connected.
Yep, I would definitely agree with that.
My dream was different though. I was chasing something what seemed to be in a maze. Every time I woke up, I would dive back into this maze. And I don't know what I was chasing, but there was something in there I was looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's the first dream I've had since making the well. Connecting to the well. Sorry.
What's that? Oh, sorry, what was that?
Oh, that's the first dream I've had since opening up the well that Daniel and I were working on.
Yes. Let's keep that not in view of the public, shall we?
Yes. No.
Yeah.
Are we not talking about?
We're not talking about certain things that Michael or Daniel and Alex have gotten up to because it's a little too volatile for the public.
Yeah. Not for the public's ears. Some of the things we do, folks, are not for your ears. You would have to join the Academy and learn.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we While we like talking about singularities in space-time, we don't want people abusing the science and accidentally blowing a hole in the planet.
Or opening a portal and not being able to shut it.
Right.
Please do not try to divide by 0.
Yeah. Let's try not. So anyway, let's begin. Let's roll clip. If I can find the button. Where's the button? Button. Who's got the button? All right. Here's the button. We're gonna do the thing. Can everybody see it?
Yep. I see a bunch of Grimoire of Arts.
Let's do this thing.
Might want to make it bigger, bro, because it's really small on that screen for people to see. I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
How's that?
That'll work. Now people can see it.
Yeah. And that website will get back up soon.
I was going to make one fire tattoo. The logo.
Yeah. Glorious. Fucking glorious.
That is.
If anything, you can definitely feel the love that was put into making it.
Oh, yeah.
I love the setup.
Outstanding.
Huh.
That makes me tickle.
I thought you'd like that nice little intro.
Oh, this whole thing is glorious.
Anyone else notice the candle in the middle kind of shadow shifts?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was hoping I wasn't the only one.
Oh yeah. It's like moving all over.
What
Oh,
yesterday?
it does.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Baby, bring me.
Be called forth by the unspoken words, by the power of the damned on earth. In the shadow, I seek shelter. By the black sun in the midnight hour, I seek to be hidden. Let nothing of the works within be seen. By the mind's eye of others, let the words go unheard by the ears of kin. This circle shall stand outside of time. Okay. As one of darkness forth from light, hear me spirits called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten. Those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons, by the blood of the forsaken. Open forth the first gate, from which all comes forth all as the seed, the base of the true will. And I call forth by those that are never named, those which are of the ones of power. By the shadows made flesh, hear me and be open. Hear me, spirits called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten, and those that were, by the unborn souls and the never born fallen. Hear me in the name of the lost. Hear me, my summons. By the things to come, open forth the gates. Hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now this summons. By the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all pillars. Hear me, spirits, called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten. Those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear me, my summons.
By the will made flesh, let the second gate be opened. Open forth this passage of balance. In this time that is not time, in this place that is not a place. At the meeting of the worlds, by the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken, hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now the summons, by the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all places. Hear me, spirits called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight. By time forgotten, those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons. By the blood offered forth to the external darkness, I invoke here all the realms of shadows in my soul. That which is of the third gate, from the flames, the power of the ions. Hear me and be opened. By the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken, hear me, spirits called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight. By time forgotten, those that were, by the unborn souls. The never born fallen. Hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now this summons, by the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all places. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons. Open forth these gates. Open now the fourth gate, from the which stems the power of the will, flood, shadow, light, these forces which play upon the eternal wheel of fate. Open now shall be this gate. Hear me and not be abstinent. Hear me and be brought forth. Hear me and come forth as my will is made flesh. Hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now this summons. By the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all places. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Now hear my summons. Open the fourth and fifth gate, from which flows the word, that which is of power, to mold the darkness, as a sculptor his clay. Hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now this summons, by the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all places. Hear me, spirits, called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten. Those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons. Open forth this sixth gate, that its power be invoked in this place beyond all places. By the unborn souls and the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons. By that which shapes the world of light and dark, shaping anew in this, the time of change and death. Hear now these words that issue forth the words of power of those who have come before. Hear me by the middle pillar. Hear me by the shadows in heaven. Hear me, my demon fallen kin. Hear me by the forgotten waters of power. Hear now the summons. By the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me in this time outside of time, in this place beyond all places. That this thing shall pass, that now the seventh gate be thrust open, that which brings sight the words of power, that cause the world to bend when it uttered. That these things made by the unspoken, now spoken, bring forth the gate of the spirit, of the sight. That now this be invoked from primal chaos, like this now be opened. That hear me, spirits, called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten, those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Hear now my summons, out of the void of creation. I come as keeper of the keys, as the gatekeeper of the way, the eighth gate, crown of my becoming, shall be open now. By the will made flesh, by the flesh made shadow, by the words not spoken, by their power seen, by the transformation of Akaharu. Hear me by these forces open now, the eighth gate of transformation. Let the pure darkness eternal wash over me so I am worthy, that this is made so by logos. By those of the first time, by becoming one of the Akaharu, by this the transformation, to become by blood Akaharu, I enter forth this realm beyond, the veil of life and death, like the chains of my mortality fall free as they be set upon the followers of Yahweh. Hear me, forces, here invoked from the deepest space and darkest realm. This is the time of the lost, by the blood of the forsaken, I am made worthy. To enter hence the house, to become as the timeless. Now I call forth to open the gates of power in this the time of shadows. As I stand in the devil's light, as one of the Akaharu, hear me, spirits called of time before. Hear me by the blood of the forsaken. Hear me by the ancient forces of the black forest at midnight, by time forgotten, those that were, by the unborn souls, the never born fallen. Hear me in the time of the lost. Open now these 8 gates, so that within me they are open. As those we seek, as was in time before. When desire ruled, dream was king. When mythos and nightmare walked in the open, when havoc and pain crossed the land as wind in the trees. Nothing shall stand of the time before, as we enter the realm of change, as we become as the lost. We are made as the forsaken, we enter and call forth the pact of the timeless, which brought mortality to the flesh of the kin. To enter and become of ourselves, yet not ourselves consumed, we are made hence. Like those that shall never die, we become as the first to be of the timeless. I am the gatekeeper. Without me, the gate is shut. I am the keeper of the way. Without me, the way is barred. Let the gate be opened as I tread the way of our
And it's 11:11 a.m. my time. Oh shit. Rock with your bad self.
Coincidence? I think not.
Ah, glorious. There was a streak of light that goes right into your arms when you were doing that.
Oh wow.
This is amazing.
It was like a little jolt up my spine. And like I told you earlier, my nerves felt like they were like tingly, but I just had like a jolt through my whole body. It just felt like I could lift it off of the ground. It was like nothing I have ever felt before.
Now, your transformation is complete.
My legs are shaky. My whole body is like, wow.
The best is yet to come. You will experience lots of new things now.
That's it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Wicked Angel's Rite of Transformation. And if you're interested in doing yours, please get a hold of Brian Lovering from the Academy of Sorcery. All right, guys. Blessed be.
Oh, fucking epic.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Thank you for watching.
Very, very good. I still remember doing mine like it was yesterday.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It was so much fun.
My job here at the Academy, of course, is video editing. So
Much appreciated for pulling that together.
I'm telling you, afterwards, the feelings that I got afterwards, it was so weird. I have never felt anything like this.
The whole
It
while
was
I was
like,
listening, right? That was awesome. I was hearing something in the back of my head the whole time, and then I felt something grab me from behind, and kind of like the loving embrace of somebody. It was so weird. Oh my goodness! Because I heard soon, embrace, you're next, and that was it.
Yep.
Are you excited, Alex?
I guess I am.
you should be. It's. I think the weirdest thing I felt afterwards was it felt like a spiral was like encircling from it started at my feet, and you could feel it just encircling my body real slow until it got to my head, and then it just kind of hovered right over my head, and just it's still there.
Huh. That matches the designs and pictures. Okay.
Does it really?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be sending pictures to everybody, and then we can maybe screen share because fucking cool, Sandy. Fucking cool. Where did it go? Fucking cool. So now
like
that you
it literally feels like now I can feel the energy and the vibrations.
Yes.
Which I've never felt that.
I will say during the whole thing, my woods definitely took on a different energy.
I swear I heard something.
They seemed pleased.
That's good.
Yeah, especially since my woods are as cranky as I am. They're crotchety and old, just like me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Check your text.
Me? Who?
Sandy.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, I'm looking. I just got it. Yes. 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 That's it.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent it to the group here. I'll for the people that are. When you stand in the array, the center point of the array opens. There is a singularity that occurs, and I'm always talking about these things having a singularity. So this is a visual representation of what that shit looks like. Right. So you've got the opening point where everything focuses around, and it literally spirals up the body.
That's awesome.
That was it. It just. I could actually, envision it. You could actually see it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So,
yay.
Have you tried to do any pattern readings or anything like that since that's happened?
No, I kind of passed out after the first couple hours.
I feel that. I did the same thing. Opened the Saturn's gate, and well, everybody had vivid dreams that night. Shut it down.
Yeah.
You have to shut it down.
I literally passed out.
I'm so thrilled for you. But so, Doc, as far as what you were saying earlier about having it so that people wouldn't be able to influence it. You heard what the words that she was saying in that invocation, outside of time, in the time of the timeless. She was in a moment where only she was at by that conjuration. So fuck all who sees the video. She's in a space where only she exists.
Right.
How is the audio on this? Right. Want to make sure.
You sound good, Daniel.
Great.
Good.
Okay. It's always with StreamYard, the audio can occasionally get a little funky. Sandy, I am so glad that you can actually feel these things, because for the longest goddamn time, I couldn't get a hint of any sort of feeling. And it was like fucking navigating this shit blind. And it was so annoying. Like, I don't know why, but the like physical sensations of things besides like intuition and a deeper feeling was nearly beyond me until maybe like half a year ago.
Wow.
It's good that you can feel that and sense and perceive that, and all the more to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. It really is.
So I have a question. Who all has gone through the cave initiation or have heard of it?
You're talking about Plato's Cave?
No, as in the book by Oak, Ash, and Thorn. They have a meditation in here called the Cave Initiation. It's where you can receive a shamanic symbol that only has meaning to you.
Huh. That reminds me of the one, I think it's Taoist, where the initiate goes into the cave until they make contact.
Also, kind of sounds like druidic shenanigans.
It is Celtic by nature. It is you go into a cave in your meditation is what it is. It's a guided meditation. Someone guides you to the cave and all that, and you're supposed to meet with the spirit and talk with the spirit. And for me, it was weird because the symbol I saw, which is you see right before you enter the cave, I still haven't figured it out.
It's a symbol that only has meaning to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to find that meaning, and I think I every time I think I have it, it's like, nah, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, but again, that's a technique of Celtic shamanism. I'm not a Celtic shaman.
Fair enough.
That's not the course of this study. This is where we would need to get a Celtic shaman to come in and speak about that.
Yeah,
I would agree. Reach out to the Druids and ask them to come and do a lecture on it. There's a fella whose name is Don Michael Craig. He's the guy that taught me how to do the past life regression meditation going into the roots of the world tree, right? I was in one of his workshops. He's dead now, unfortunately, so he's not available for that lecture. So he's over on the other side. You might want to call him up, light a candle to him, and see if he'll guide you in spirit, because he's a wonderful man. That you might could reach out to the dead priests of our generation who had an impact on culture and the writing and the current ways that magic is. His books were the lessons of high magic. But he's the guy that I met to do those rituals, to do those past life meditations, not the cave initiation. So those things that you're reading in those books, if you did it and you followed the instruction for the book, good for you. But again, it's meaning only for you in another person's book.
Right.
That would actually be neat, calling up that guy necromantically, or throwing up a projection of who he was in life to sort of, speak to the living projection of, what once was, and try to divulge information that way.
The way that by Oak, Ash, and Thorn describes it is you could go to a place called the Midworld, which is here, outside of time, outside of space. You could go anywhere, anytime, any place. in Midworld. So maybe lighting the candle and going into the other world, maybe I'll be able to contact them that way too.
Maybe.
Whenever I'm doing,
there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
You're getting ahead of yourself. You haven't even completed basic summons of evocation through physical ingredients yet, and you're trying to contact the dead. Chill down, bro.
Yeah. Slow down. Slow and roll.
Like, again, this is where I don't want to put my foot in the sand and say, hey, no, that's too much for what you're trying to do right now. You need to figure out and focus on you and how these things relate to you.
Right.
Before you start going out and delving so deeply into places where you otherwise have no foundation.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because you're picking up, we're working through the Grimoire of Arts. You're including other spells in other initiatory path working books, trying to make it mesh with what the Grimoire is doing.
Right.
Don't. That's dangerous because it'll fracture your psyche. It'll divide your focus.
Okay.
Go into this thing with, these are the spells that I'm doing. These are the rituals that I'm doing. This is the path I'm undertaking. And until I've undertaken that path and become the self and the individual that I'm supposed to do, like the things that Daniel have done, like the things that Michael has done, to go through and become in this kind of way. So that as you develop and as you cultivate these kinds of relationships, you're not stepping on what is something that you can interact with that requires you to understand who you are before you interact with it. Right? In the ancient traditions, they used to feel that unless you go through and do a ritual similar to what Sandy undertook and meet each of the 7 gates and each of your responses to those 7 gates over the process of months, generally 9 months was the fastest accepted thing in the ancient world to what it would take to birth the spirit body capable of withstanding interactions of the stars. And so what we're doing in this ritual, what Sandy did in this ritual, as she connects herself to these things, as she calls upon the night side of herself, the subconscious self, the self of her that will exist outside of her body when her body is no longer part of the world of light. It's reconciling that divide.
Okay.
So until you do that, I would say stay away from these other things, because one of the missing pieces in a lot of these books is they don't cultivate the relationship between the individual and the outside world. There's no threshold, right? You set the seals, you set the barrier, you set the threshold, you set the gate openings by will, by your blood, by your actions. That creates barriers of your will, of your action, of your understanding, of your flesh and your body, which when you invoke, you can then choose what comes into you. You can choose what enters your blood, what enters your mind, what enters your vibration. It gives you full control instead of being a puppet of some other entity that's just wandering by.
That's fair enough. It makes sense.
I can't do this on my own.
So as you go through and you're cultivating what is your otherworldly thing, right? So there's a place where the veil between this world and the abyss exists, which you can jump on the other side of the abyss and you get into the world of the uncreated. There's a space inside that world where it's an uncreated, almost no form can exist within this space. And so as people are within this space and they project into this, right? When I met it was a black fire across the ground and like a grayish veil of a wall almost. Baphomet was sitting on a rock and he's like, "You sure you want to go through that?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Right? So into this space, and it was the world that was destroyed. There was a cave, but it was the bones of a dragon. In my understanding, the world around me was black, red, gold, purple. The sky was multicolors. It was insane. The ground inside this giant fucking rib cage of things was just like dry earth, like you'd see in the Mojave Desert or in parts of the Grand Canyon. It was that dusty, sandy earth, rocky sandstone type dirt. Right? But that was outside of creation. That was outside of creation in a world where creation could not be. Where when you touched the air, you disintegrated into gold. Right? And then you had to reform yourself. Well, how do you reform yourself when your spirit dies in the outside? You have to recall it through something that was on the inside in order to be able to reform yourself. And so you have to recall yourself to yourself. Right? So having a body that's aware of what your soul is doing out there where it's uncreated, so it can survive that shit, you have to do a self-resurrection in order to be able to be like, okay, well, that was a bad idea. Or, oh, I died in that dream. And it's that process of being able to reform yourself based upon the understanding of the elements that make you who you are. And as they exist within this creation, can you recall to yourself what that is? And Daniel fell. But that's soul retrieval. There was a lady last night that was asking me about soul retrieval.
Oh,
yeah. So that soul retrieval is a big concept of the day, apparently. Yeah, it was trying to reconnect to a missing piece of herself that she felt got lost over the ages, as it were, as she grew up. There's a piece of her that's missing, so she needed to recall to herself a portion of the missing piece so that she could feel complete again.
gotcha.
Right, and that's a thing in Celtic shamanism where you've got the cauldron of the point of the well, and you're pulling out souls from the great well, and you're reinvesting within bodies or minds or behaviors or things like that. You're trying to get them to move on into new life. So you get them out of the body that they're in and into something new. But again, that's Celtic shamanism. What we're talking about is a different type of necromancy where we're dealing with the outside of creation, the inside of creation, and then the stuff that exists on the other side of that creation into the next creation where it's an alien world where we will never understand as humans because they're not. It's like trying to project into the AI world that Daniel works with. It's like your mind can comprehend it, your spirit can interact with it, but your physical body will never touch it. Right? So these bridges are as close as those things that we can get to. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yes, that made sense.
So the caves I use are the things that I've seen as caves. They're not. They're like the corpses of dead dragons.
I can't help
Oh,
it.
right.
So not the same stuff. Similar,
Right.
but no.
Which honestly, it explains why my cat was always with me and on my lap whenever I went over there, because I guess I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah.
It's always good to have familiar.
The neat thing about working with animals is that they can go in and out of creation at will because they're not tethered to normal consciousness. They can do what they want, and you can ride that bestial behavior, right? So you're petting the cat, you're connecting to the spirit of nature and the things that the cat hunts or does or what have you, and so you project into the spirit of the great cat that is not attached to the cat's body as it is, but the essence of all cat. Right? We can call it like all father, like all cat. It's the great cat spirit.
Father.
The cat father. Right? And then you connect to that and you understand that and you bring into your understanding of what that means is what you need it for, why you need to be there, why you need to interact with that. And that becomes very personal in the moment. And that's why it's really hard to teach this shit. Is because it becomes very, very personal, very momentary, situationally based. It's like, why do you need these spells? Why do you need this doing? Why do you need these interactions? Right? and developing these interactions as a result of what the manifestation's intended to be, right? Lining up, why are you using air, fire, water, earth with the stars, the planets, and their directions and their relationships and stuff like that, right? So like in that infernal attribution handbook that I've been trying to get together with you guys, so that way as you walk through and you work through it, right? Sent it to Blair again yesterday. In there is the breakdown of the astrological directions, right? So when you're at the north, you've got those energies of the astrological influence, right? And so when you're in that position, you can bring that energy to you, right? Its base consideration is in the element of that direction, right? We talked about it a little bit yesterday. What is in that direction for you, right? What is to the north? What is to the south? What is to the east? And what is to the west? In relationship to where is more land? Where is the hot part of the world? Where is the cold part of the world? Where is the wet part of the world? And where is there a huge draft? So that you can geo-target yourself and position yourself in your ritual work here. And all these energy strings are coming into you.
Yeah, we talked about this, yesterday when we were doing the, we did the breakdown for Michigan for me. Yeah,
we did. And then there was something that I sent to the group last night, which was the thing I love about what Bob gets up to in his spare time and his hobbies. He's amateur radio, right? So fields and waves, setting up like the oscilloscope to observe wave patterns and things like that.
But right? You mean do you mean ham radio, or do you mean like WMNF community radio?
Shortwave amateur radio.
Oh, ham radio. Okay.
Yeah. But there I don't know if I can show the picture. But the gold darn it. But these grid patterns that they have for the antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Those, right? They look like the energy patterns inside of these arrays that we built.
Yeah.
So the egg beater patterns that they're using for ham radio and such is the same kind of, well, it's the fields and waves receptacle of what modern science does in relation to radio waves, frequency waves, generation of these kinds of things. And there's real science behind these shapes. So it's not just we're building ritual implements to replicate concepts. We're building ritual elements to facilitate consciousness transfer.
Right.
Okay.
We're trying to create intentional quantum tunnelings where our consciousness exists outside of the form in which our bodies are a physical thing that limits our understanding. So we project through a quantum tunnel into the world where we are not. So we can see and observe.
This is a book I'm going to be reading. It's Healing Sounds.
Okay.
So I'll figure out exactly what we could. Oh, hey, look, the Tree of Life. Huh. Are the other trees too?
Before I forget, speaking of making ritual items, when we recast your blade, did you want me to add the corpse finger into it?
Yes, please.
No. You didn't. I don't remember if you answered or not. So.
Yes.
I will.
Were you also going to put that one thing on? We were talking about symbols. I don't remember what symbol it was you wanted on it though.
Oh, you wanted me to put a symbol on it?
I can put the symbol on it when the time comes.
Okay.
Because
don't worry
if you want, I can work it into like the casting mold.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
If it's not too complicated, I can definitely do it.
Well, that's the thing is I would need to do there's a whole ritual setup of things that would need to be done in order to divine.
There you go. That's all you had to say.
Things. What?
That's all you had to say. Whole ritual setup. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, no ritual setup. Nope, let's not.
Yeah, let's not say we did.
I'll worry about that when I get the thing. But no, to capitalize upon the opportunity for this once in a decade eclipse thing that's happening tonight, this is going to be quite epic.
Yes, it is.
Oh wait, that's supposed to happen tonight?
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
tonight At 11:18.
Time for me to do some wacky, crazy thing right at the same time.
Yes.
God. Okay, now I need to think of
We might have to do an impromptu stream again tonight. So while Doc casts the thing, so again, we can protect it outside of time. We can create the space around it in a digital space. So while we are creating this virtual tunnel of connecting energies through physical computer wireless to Doc, right? So we're creating the loop using modern technology. Yay for like visual audio tunnels of like us interacting through space-time.
Yeah.
Which I still find amusing considering the fact that I'm a Luddite.
You know, yay modern science and witchcraft.
Hey, okay. Magic is science. Science is magic.
Right. But this is
It's
modern.
just a different branch.
But we are modern magicians. We are today magicians. We're not like 1,000 years ago magicians today. We're like today magicians using 1,000 years ago methods.
Man, could you imagine if we could bring back some of the tech to our predecessors?
Yes, and that would be epic. But I think, you know, we're trying to recover their tech first because it's better.
Yeah, apparently their tech was way better than what we have now.
Yeah, we're trying to unveil their tech and get a little better than they did.
Yeah. They were able to laser cut a fucking giant fucking rock within millimeters of precision 4,000 years ago, and we can't do that shit today. Like,
seriously, what the hell is wrong with us?
They were able to control 300 demons with just one ring.
Right.
That's what got me.
Now everybody nowadays people struggle with just shielding.
Right.
I think one of the reasons why magic was a lot more prevalent is because of how accepted it was, and all the wall springs were wide open. Now that it's not nearly what it was, and all the wall springs are closed, we need to just start finding the wall springs of mana and opening them.
well, so you've got frequency, you've got vibration, you've got color, right? So what AT&T is doing, what Amazon is doing, what all these people that are projecting Wi-Fi and signals and radio waves and all these shit through the air, right? We catch that. We catch that as fragments. Does anybody ever have those ads that just pop up into their head like a fucking jingle for some random product that might be 30 years old, and it's just playing in the back of your head and you say it out loud in a moment, right? Well, that's like catching the wireless advertising things that are lost in the frequency, and your body is just the resonant thing that articulates that idea.
Right, because we're just one giant antenna, aren't we?
And so when you're in the state of connection, right, your body projects more than it receives. And that's what the rite that Wicked Angel did today was. It's that connection point between the body to the darkness to that next level of individual development. Okay? And so it's that bridge and that gap of, okay, well, this is where you were, but all the other magic of this world before the rite of transformation. And then there's all the magic afterwards, right? Because there's this space of compression where you willingly stand outside of time. You willingly go into the darkness, right? And you set a world of light around you, and you go into that space in that circle and you extinguish the light. So it's just you, your mind, and the spirits. So you're putting your physical body in proxy to that representation of magic. Right? You've established a temporary temple space outside where time does not exist because it's all conceptual. I've done ritual circles using those astrological anchors before, where I tried to take pictures inside the space. They come out gray. Not black, not white. The screen was like white noise gray when I tried to take pictures of the shit inside the circle once it was raised.
And nothing you can nothing to be seen?
No images whatsoever. When I stepped outside the circle taking pictures in, not a problem. But inside that space, nada.
That is awesome.
Okay.
So what we do is temporary. That space, that division, it's consciousness. It is a quantum tunnel for that moment because it fixes and affects the entire understanding of what the energy spreads in the body are. And so as you become part of it, right? So, Sandy, you did the elemental connections before, right? Put your hands together. Let's do this. Say, I call forth.
I call forth
the seal of the earth.
The seal of the earth.
By the 4 and 1. By the 4 and 1.
By the 4 and 1.
Open and present.
Open and present. Tingly.
Right? More vibrant now, isn't it?
Yes. Way more.
As soon as you said it, you heard a bird call.
Right. Like you
wow.
woke up in the forest.
That's awesome. That is way
if
different.
anybody's paying attention to the light behind her, it started dull and it's been getting brighter.
Yeah.
Let the gate be closed.
Let the gate be closed. Yeah, that's way different than before.
Yeah. This is you put yourself on the fringes, you drink the drink and you do the thing, right? And then it becomes and it changes. And so while it seems like, oh my God, these things I'm actually conjuring out, I'm conjuring the things of the darkness. I'm calling upon the neverborn. I'm calling upon the first people of the first time that was out there and had nothing, right? And you're recalling them to yourself and you're recalling yourself to yourself so that no matter where you existed in history and time, this is the version of you that's inside. This is the version of you that is connected to all the magics. This is the version of you that is safe to connect to all these energies so that you get to become the best version of that incarnation of yourself in your line. So you get to rewrite your narrative as the forefront energy of the soul's transmission. Right? So throughout all time and history, wherever your soul existed, it was in these moments where you compressed your understanding of yourself. And then you get to become.
He said I'm going to bed.
Oh.
Excited. I'm so happy.
Congratulations.
Mazel tov.
That's a really big deal. So
yeah, I love it. Feels good.
Yeah. So
how you gonna celebrate?
She says that now. Check back in 6 months.
Right? Says that now. So, and that's what we're going to be, and that's what we've been doing, right? It's her story. You've been at this a year now, right?
Yeah.
And you've gone through it. Daniel's gone through it. He keeps having problems with his audio. There he is. Welcome back.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I come back with my potential idea for today.
Okay, what's that?
You know how I like screwing around with the infinite sides of like duality, right?
Of course.
I'm thinking of maybe playing with that and the 1,728 gates.
Yes. I'm listening.
Did he say the 1,728 gates?
Yeah.
Yeah, during the eclipse. I mean, it's just one really.
That's an interesting idea.
It's just one hell of a conjuration. But considering the recent ascensions, the Rite of Transformation, the Draconian Spirit, all of the things that we've done, the stepping aside of the gates of creation, if I recall, all of the intangibles, the existence and inexistence, everything that I have basically strapped to myself, I feel like this is also a fun thing to do, especially during a placeholder event like an eclipse.
Right.
So this the 1,728 dates, I can bring forth the forces of infinity and whatnot, just to give it that overall hoorah, and then make the conjuration during the eclipse, which I need to look up the exact time for when I will perceive it, given my location.
Nice.
And try not to shit myself.
I mean,
Don't
is a
eat.
risk.
Don't eat.
Yeah.
Is a distinct risk. I mean,
Okay.
This is why I took a couple of those pictures and included a diaper in the spell kits. It's like if you need it, guys.
So, okay.
So what's your goal in doing it?
What's that?
My goal of doing it?
Yeah.
Well, I have, like I said before, strapped a lot of things to myself. I have done a lot, especially with gates and all of these things, and this is something to add on to that. Let's approach the 1,728 gates. Let's broaden it with infinity, and let's put it into myself. I'm not conveying it exactly how I want to. That is because I am a little forensic right now, and I'm on the cusp of a new project for tonight, and I need to think and contemplate and conceptualize.
That's understandable.
And I need to study.
And
Need to figure out a.
One of the things is with that particular conjuration, right? As I mentioned, that spell of reformation, right, where the individual can reform themselves based upon where their time and place is. The 1728, what it does is it conjures the 12 by 7 by the 12. So as the planets exist in their time for the 7 days of the week, in the 12 months of the year, no matter where you're at, you can find and pull your soul back. So using that conjuration, once you get the mechanic of it down, you don't have to read through the 28 pages. You need to understand what those 28 pages are trying to compress and what they're trying to do, so that as you figure out, okay, well, what are the 28 layers of meaning for a single thing that you can look at? How do you elicit as much meaning from a thing as you possibly can so that you get that full understanding of it?
Yeah, it's like connecting to the each within each.
Right. And so there's that section of information of what was done yesterday. Did you get that? Have you read the 28 sections?
Let's see, for the 1728.
Not for the 1728. I'm talking about the 28 sections of how to use like the breakdown of the triangle, for example.
It may have been a while, but yeah, please forward it. That way I can freshen up if need be.
Yeah, here's that for you. Send that to Doc. So that way he's got a copy of it, because I don't know if he...
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. And
The Doc, do you got the Grimoire of Arts yet?
Did it not. Everything is getting... There we go. There's that. All right. So I'm re-forwarding it to the group so that way people have it in the group. But it's the application of this stuff and the division of the soul and the spirit with the 28 meanings, right? Think about those kinds of meanings when you think about what does it mean to be part of the solar aspect of Aries throughout the year. What does it mean to be the lunar aspect of Aries throughout the year? What does it mean to be the Martian aspect, the Venetian aspect, what the Mercurial aspect, the Jupiter aspect, right? The Jovian aspect. As you were doing those behaviors in the 12 different times of the year, what are the 12 different aspects? These relationships. It's all these subtle micro threads of energy that you're pulling throughout the entire life and the entire existence of who you are. And you're either opening up that externally to your body, or you're doing it in the barrier between where is the world outside you and where is the world inside you. So in the same way the Rite of Transformation opens up the 8 gates inside you by drinking the drink, you bridge the outside gates that exist around you with the candles and the 7 planetary talismans from either the Simon Necronomicon or the planetary from the King, the Key of Solomon, right? This is the same talisman. It's just the application of it. What is the purpose? To connect to the other world externally. They are the images of the other worlds external to the body. So if you put yourself in proximity to those and you open the gates within you and you open the gates outside you, you bridge that gap and those energy flows back into you. So you could do soul restoration, you could do soul retrieval, you could do healing of your body in different kind of ways at the subtle levels, using these relationships between where does the inside world start, where does the outside world start, where do those stop, and how do they relate to each other? So as you make the call for the first time and you open up each of those things around you, right? That's going to be energy in, but you can also set it as a sort of soul restore point, if you will.
Wonderful.
Interesting.
That is the appeal of this as well. Just adding more of the each within each.
Right.
Just giving more stability and foundation to what I do, because infinity is a lot. That is fucking a lot. That foundation is incredibly necessary, and reinforcing as much of it as possible is a good thing.
Because we're dealing with the principles of infinity, so we have to separate out ubiquity, right? What is unnecessary information and what is necessary information? What is necessary information is what's going to allow us to find time, place, meaning, and understanding. Unnecessary information is the drama and the bullshit of what happens around those things in order for us to discover what it is we're lacking, what it is we're missing. So in personal development, looking at that as an individual who's like my coworkers, for example, at the shop that I'm working in, right? There are elements of their lives when they're very similar to ours, where they're building their YouTube platform, they're building their business, and they're trying to do their thing, right? But there's a missing piece to what they're doing. They behave badly. They're on medication. They're on the spectrum. There's a divergence to them, right? In the same way, there's a divergence to me and everybody else that's here, and anybody else who's watching this. There's a divergence to the individual's experience, right? What we're doing is we're bridging ourselves and that experience so that way we understand where we are when we're relating to these things. So if they make us feel a certain kind of way, you're not going to get to the point for many, 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 many years. Like I'm still not even at that point. I've been doing this for a really long time, trying to figure out, okay, well, this is going to make me feel like Mercury of Saturn, right? Or this makes me feel like Aries and Mercury, right? Or Aries and Gemini. Right? You can do that too. You can do the 12 by 12 and the 12 by 7 and the 12 by 4 and the 4 and 1. Right? You can break down all of creation into these compressive meanings that you can then translate into magic. So by the 12 by 12, by the 10 by 12, by the 4 by 4, and all these kinds of things. And you give out these measurements and you give out these interdependencies in the relationships, and like Enochian magic, right? When they're calling upon the different aethers and the different keys to the aethers and the gates of those keys. It's the same principle. It's finding space, finding time, finding yourself in space and time so that you can do whatever you need to do. And connecting to the other world in order to be able to receive that reflection and understanding so that way when you're in that moment and in that space, you have a no mind state. You are not intending to do anything with it other than observe the moment, right? And so when you approach that gate, you approach that understanding and that observation, how it makes you feel in that moment the first time you do it, that's how it begins to flavor what you're doing. And so if you're not trying to go out there and meet a spirit first, if you're not trying to go out there and conjure up a big L entity and you have no idea how these energies from the world of origin are going to treat your body, your psyche, your life path in relation to meeting with them, before you start summoning these entities, you're doing things unawares. And by doing these in this kind of way, where you're meeting the nameless energy, you're meeting the things without form, you're meeting these pathways of expression, but you don't have to do it with these great big presuppositions. Right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, like one of our viewers yesterday. This was delivered, right?
Oh, that's cool.
It's a bell. Right? Ring the bell, summon the thing.
Cool.
Very
Right?
nice.
It's been in his drawer for 40 years. He said that there was a really weird feeling on the shop that he was walking by, and he was pulled into the shop and he bought it. And then he put it in a drawer for 40 years. Like, it's got a thing stopping the ringer of it, so we don't accidentally like ring it, and I have to go like feed and water some new pet. But he says it's a demon. I say it looks like one of the Native American kachinas, like it's the feather dancers with the bird skull on it. But at the same time, even in Egyptian magic, that would be one of the natures of the air, right? One of those spirits of half animal, half human, not really formed well enough, gets to be that contact between us and our air spirits. Right?
Wow, you started talking about it and even showed it, and now the hawks are going crazy.
Yay! Hail Horus.
Awesome.
You hear him?
Yep.
Yeah, that's damn. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful sound, though, to me. I
Yeah.
love
Yep.
the hawks.
I do too. Hawks are my favorite.
I'm in my happy place.
That's epic. That's epic. So hopefully, as you do your meditations on what you want that right to mean to you tonight, Daniel, that 1728, it's part of the means by which I was able to do those soul retrieval magics, is because I was willing to find myself in all of those states and conditions, so that way throughout the course of the year, with whatever goes on with my body, with my mind, with my spirit, in those places where I'm not myself, I can become myself if I refocus, if I re-key into these energies. Right? And that's one of the cool things about the path that we walk on with this stuff, is that it's never the same day twice. There's always like it's always some slight divergent of, well, they're doing this today, so there's these things that need to be talked about, or there's this shit that's going on in the heavens, and so the body is responding to it in a very glorious, unflattering way, right?
Speaking of, I wanted to ask if how have things been for you since that one ascension thing?
On Beltane, I was shitting my brains out the entire day.
Oh,
Huzzah!
That gate opened, and I was not. Yeah, I woke up, and it was just like boom, like not. It was very violent.
Speaking of Beltane, an acquaintance of mine just had her baby on Beltane. Her name is Maisie.
That's
awesome.
She was born 7 pounds 7 ounces at 7 o'clock at night.
Whoa.
Yeah, you chill my books. Get hit with the book.
That's epic.
These 3 puppies were born on Yule, so that's why I like them so much.
That's cool.
Like, these are special puppies. They're magical puppies.
Magical. All puppies are magical.
That's epic. What a hell of a time to be born.
I know, right?
That's going to be some magic. I hope she has a lovely future ahead. Was it a boy or girl?
It's a girl. Her name is Maisie.
Amazing. That's fun. Happy birthday to Maisie. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I pretty much think all babies are ugly except for when my son was a baby. But she actually has like this glow about her. Like, she's gonna be something special.
That's neat. Have to get Alex's kids to watch out for her.
Yeah, my twin Geminis. They're a handful, man.
You got to teach them collaborative magic. So while one's doing one, the other can do the opposite, and they could like extra magic.
They are definitely yin and yang. One's very caring, and one's almost like a heartless person, almost.
Oh no!
Oh, one of them could be could walk the craftsman path, and the other one could be walking the night path. Imagine the collaborative stuff they could do then.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
They would be almost nearly unstoppable at that point. One crafting and one for the other, and the other making sure the crafter is protected. Yeah,
Yep.
that is an unbreakable team almost right there.
No.
So speaking of that, let's get into a little bit of you guys' initiatory paths that you guys are creating, right? So with the 7 gates and the different levels of the way that you can break it down, talk about each of your respective paths that you're founding, you're developing as a result of working with us, and what you intend to do moving forward for the communities.
You want to go first since you're my senior?
Go for it, Alex.
Alrighty. Well, let me go through here my book here. I've basically been building a lot of defense magic and there we go. As well as just a basic, trying to come up with something big because I got a lot of kids. So, and a lot of them are mostly younger age. I only have like an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old that are close to comprehension. So I've been trying to figure out what's the easiest way to portray this stuff to those who want to learn, starting with my children. And move. Thank you. Working on like generational magics where I could pass. Okay, this can be you come of age now. You can learn this or you can learn that. I'm in the process of working out a family guardian.
Familial.
Yeah.
ATL, what's up, buddy?
That was funny. It was double like issues. So there's a 4-layer path in the night stuff is what I'm talking about specifically.
Oh yeah.
Conversation along.
So, well,
let's talk about the path of the Smiths while you're recovering your breath. Doc,
yeah.
would you mind going into that?
Okay. The craftsman path, it comes about for the fact that a lot of our crafts are dying, and there's so much magic within them. I created this path to gather the craftsmen. We have there's no patrons or deities or anything like that. And we do not pay permanent fealty to anyone. We are mediators between the spirits and the tools and weapons and armor and clothes and everything else that is handmade. We are just the arbiters. We are completely neutral. It was so the initiation path, or the first path, is the acceptance of the apprentice. The mastersmith will oversee the hopeful while they meditate and fast for 24 hours. After that 24 hours, they go into the shop and they make something using as much spirit and as much as themselves as they can put into it. And it doesn't matter if they don't have any, training or anything, as long as there's not tools that they need to be trained on. It doesn't matter what they make, and they don't have to be skilled at it at all. It is a judging point for if your soul truly has that spark. And after that, then the smith either decides to take you as the apprentice. If not, you can reapply in 1 year and a day, during which time meditate on whatever the master smith says that you were lacking. But if you are accepted, then you take the pledge or the pledge of the craftsman, and after that, then you spend a year and a day learning novice things, such as the two main things you have to learn are woodworking and leather making / tan hiding. Tan high tanning. There we go. I know words. Ha! I speak good English. Duh. But and you have to learn another craft of your choice that you feel would help you along your path. And at that time, you'll be learning from three different masters for that. Two technically. The master smith will only be teaching smithing. Master woodworker will be teaching you woodworking, and then your other thing. And then after that, you start learning the magic aspects of it.
Okay.
For a year and a day. Then you move to from apprentice to novice, from novice to journeyman, and then from journeyman to master. All of which takes a year and a day.
Right.
And the goal of the craftsman is to maintain a balance between nature and humans. So humans have to have tools, but we also have to make sure that all of the things that we use can be renewed. We don't want to completely decimate our stock, so we have to be very wary and work with the spirits of nature. If the spirits of nature are coming and saying, "Hey, no," then you have to lay off that until you otherwise find a way to sustain it or something. But the master smith, when done with his everything, like all of the training, is capable of creating items that can change fates and destinies of people, or even of the entire earth, depending on how strong and dedicated the smith is.
Right. And
So
you go
basically, it is possible to make Excalibur.
Great. Let's.
Yes. I would love to wield Excalibur.
Well, so again, what we're doing is we're establishing a path while you've been on a path for the entirety of your life, right? There's the path of what was before what you do with the academy, and then there's the path of what you do with the academy, right?
Correct.
Again, the same kind of rite of transformation shit. As you work with us and as we begin to take a more collaborative endeavor of what you're doing and have the world available to order things from you made at the right hours and times, like tonight you're making the blade for me, you're going to be able to do that for others. And so by being able to apply that, you're going to have a road by which these students can walk on, where it will be through these collaborative endeavors where you have things that you have to make. Then there are people by which you can teach to make it, so that they have something that they can study with, right? So that as you become the swordsmith or the master brownsmith that you want to become, right? And as you are in your way, the regalia, the ritual, the development of these things comes in time. But we start now.
All right. So I think now that I've heard okay. Now the knights. First I'm working on this is a single hand sword. I've been working. Yesterday I went through the ringer. My friend definitely put me through the ringer last night. And what I'm doing today is I'm breaking down mentally what it is that we went through, the movements, the and how they and how my body is able to do it. Therefore, knowing your body, you can know how you can push the energy through it and out to the sword. So I'm developing from, basically stage 0, a way of magical swordsmanship that has about 12 levels to it.
Excellent. So now what we need to get you both doing is reaching into the communities where you've got leathersmiths, metalsmiths. You've got different aspects of what's necessary for who's going to be the who that teaches and reinforces those techniques that their understanding is, right? So in the same way that we started off today with Doc sharing his Lotus Sutra in a compression, right? He shared with us ritual. We need others to share their ritual, their training methods, their developmental process with us in tandem so that we all benefit from the work that you're doing, right? We can all do physical activity. We can all take up a sword if necessary to do the position so that we understand that the flow of what we're doing and what we're talking about can relate to what it is, even if we don't do the full practice of for tournament work, like what I'd like to happen, right? So I was watching BattleBots yesterday, and I was watching the tournament. Like, it would be epic to see what would happen if we've got like magical smiths making tools and the energetics of ritual combat and tournament magic. Like, if we could bring that into wherever it is that it's going on so that we can do demonstrations or that we can run challenges or we can run tournaments or what have you in various forms.
Yeah.
So that we can do that. So that as you go through and you figure out, okay, well, what's the safety equipment that you need? You're trained in all the safety equipment in the same way that you're trained in all the tools in the shop, so you know their basic operations, right? And then you start applying those so that everything has a groundwork. Okay, well, what do you need when you come into the shop? What are the first requirements that you need to learn how to do, right? It's like teaching an employee. Well, you need to know where the stock is located. You need to know why people use what toy, what products in the store are there for what use, right? And the relationship to those uses as it relates to the customer's need. And not every customer needs to know everything about everything that's in the store. They need to know everything in relation to the thing that they need from that store. But you need to be the one that can overview the entire situation to see, okay, well, they need to go through and do the safety for today. They need to go through and do the meditations. They need to go through and do the different reasons why these combinations matter, right? And this becomes why it becomes a path of study that will last for years, right? Like, there is no rapid way to deliver this information. This is a path for life, right? And it's not, oh my God, this is a cult. Like, no, this is a trade you will apply yourself to for the whole of your life to become whatever it is that you want to become, right? So for my take in leather work, there was the restraints that I tried to make that came out way worse than what my ex made, right? But we got him an industrial leather machine so that he could make the restraints and all these things for the shop. My business partner at the time was not involved in that decision because she walked off, right? Like, that was not part of the community she wanted to be a part of. So she isolated herself from it, and then in turn diminished any opportunity for that store to have that part happen. So we lost out on having a leathersmith already interacting with our community. So we have to go out and find new ones. We have to go out.
I don't know. Okay. See, I don't understand that. How could you give up an opportunity like that? So you can't like be big enough person to just swallow the fact that you don't like being in the you're not part of the fetish community per se. You're just there making money,
right? And they were not happy with that, and so that became the biggest problem in that relationship and that downfall of that relationship. And so again, that's don't do business with family especially if family doesn't understand the level of nuance and depth. An adult store is more than just the product it sells. It's the life that it affects, right? And
I
so
used to work in the adult store.
yeah, and so as we sell products for self-pleasure and self-care and all of these things so that the individual can handle their needs in the most visceral level possible, right? How they masturbate at the end of the day. That is a type of magic.
Yep.
And so having the means to make restraints custom to an individual, having the means to make leather outfits custom to the individual, right? So that they get to experience their version of their higher self in their most kinky aspect of their most base, visceral, pleasurable seeking self. So that they can embody their kink modality in the same way that a priest would don the ritual regalia. It's the same concept. You don the attire of the life you want to lead. Magic being the environmental change in accordance with your will, specifically changing the environment around you in accordance with your will intent. Right? What do I mean by magic of sex? I mean, there's energy work that occurs during sex that you can cause events to happen when you combine the creative potential of what happens when seed releases simultaneously, or when seed and egg come together, or when blood and flesh come together, or when other bodily ingredients come together in an emotionally charged moment where you are intending to bring out a response from your subject, right? So ego vos, what is it? Kogo vos mutare terra is I call forth the world around me to change, right? And then there's ego evoco to anima inferna, right? Where you're laying hands on the individual's body and you conjure forth the infernal spirit that dwells within them. So you are basically making them a wild, randy sex puppet for whatever their base instincts are, and you're putting them in a state that isn't their normative way. You're possessing them with a version of themselves that they otherwise wouldn't know.
Right.
So it's like what a type of self-possession that's for
See,
the forced self-possession.
Temporarily awakening their alter ego.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. So
okay.
Doc says, here's something. ATL News is, do you think that your will alone can change the world in a way that breaks the continuity of the natural process? Well, that depends on what you understand the natural process is to be. If we are consciousness, every thought is a singularity. Every singularity has density. Density is vibration, and therefore does change the world in accordance with your thought, no matter what. What you think and why is your magic.
So, by hermeneutics.
What your hermetics, man.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Sorry. Here's a interesting thing. There was a study done where they had men go and interview for jobs. The same jobs. They all had the same qualifications. The only difference is the one guy just wore he wore a bunch of different color shirts, whereas the other guy wore a red shirt. And that act alone, because red is a power color, it's a
target.
Yeah, it's a color that brings forth like both aggression and confidence, and it's very much a power color. And every job that the guy in the red shirt applied for, he got. The other guy didn't. So through that one act of will alone, he made it so he got those jobs.
Oh yeah.
That's neat.
So yes, our will does define our own reality.
Yeah. And our ability to embody ourselves within the moment is like, are you the sum of your experiences, right? Are you the response to all the abuses that you've had in the world? Are you just this victim mentality state, or are you able to embrace what is, Color isn't just reflection, ATL. Color is absorption of all the things that are not the color that you see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just reflection. There's so much more to it. Color is what the world sees. You're actually absorbing everything that isn't the color red when you wear red. Red is the boundary by which those other energies are absorbed. Everything else can come in, red cannot. So that aggression, that negativity, that boundary, red is what is visible. So there is a boundary of that energy around you. Colors happen when light is reflected, yes, but at the same time, chemical formulations for color, right? There is an absorption, a yin and a yang to that. It's not just light reflected. There's more to it. It's the layers of these things that we're talking about. It's the meta structure of these things that we're talking about. This is the metaphysics. What goes into these? Right? Love Reiki music yourself, and you found out and researched the sexual considerations of Reiki. Yeah, those are fun. Right? The whole body is like you. It's just this wonderful cornucopia of energy points, and how you stimulate it with vibration. Do you like deep and thumpy, high and buzzy? Do you want inside? Do you want outside? Do you want both at the same time? Do you want it to suck? Do you want it to wiggle? Do you want it to? All the questions that I ask are behaviors, right? And as these behaviors are vibrations and their stimulations, it's type of stimulation, type of physical stimuli of the body in relationship to motion, right? And so if you stimulate it a certain kind of way and an orgasm results, it's also the mental state of the individual that reaches orgasm, because orgasms are 90% handled by the brain. The physical action, yes, but to get the body to climax, there is something that goes into it that comes from the individual, right? And so ATL asked earlier, do you have a soul? I follow the Taoist or the Sumerian view. Until you understand what it is you are, no, nobody has one. Until you go and face the gates down, until you do what things like Sandy did today, and we shared earlier today, until you go and find out where you start and stop, you don't technically have one. You're just a vessel for the collective. Until you can make a stand and say, no, it is me. That is the darkness. I call forth the gate, and you can feel the difference between where you start and it starts. That doesn't exist. The individual is a collective. We are part of the collective. We are the collective, but we are singular. All right. The spark is not real. I believe that consciousness is an extension of our limitless potential to be, and it's the individual's singularity as they express their life, right? I'm myself through my experiences. Doc is himself through his experiences. Sandy is herself through her experiences. Alex, Daniel, Michael, everybody is through their own experiences of how they view environment, conditioning, behavior, their thoughts, their feelings in whatever environment of the life path that they have. Right? Real is subjective. Okay, not conscious. So there's more to it than that. There's 9 aspects of the soul, right? I use the Egyptian 9 version. So there's the soul that's just in relationship to the body. There's the soul that's just in relationship to the mind. There's the soul that's just in relationship to each organ and its neurological function within the body. So what you're asking about, ATL, cannot be answered in the short format that you're presenting it in. So I would ask that you would come up here and we can actually have a discussion instead of you try to interject these things and try to show where my education isn't, instead of trying to reinforce where education is. So you're not the smartest one in the room, so don't try to be one. Be in the room, share your intelligence, because there's more magic going on here with what Doc is doing, with what Wicked Angel is doing, with what Daniel is doing, with what Michael is doing, and with what Alex is doing, than we can articulate in an hour and a half or almost 2 hours in a fucking stream video. Right? So you're asking questions based on your education, which I have no idea about. Right? And so
why
you're
don't
trying
you come
to
up and
figure
share?
out your words in relationship to mine. Right? You have your life experience. That is an education. You have your understanding of what is the singularity. What is your understanding of connection? What is your understanding of these terms and things that you're expressing your life and your feelings from, right? Your consciousness, your soul, and the way that you act in the world as it relates to those behaviors, right? You have that. That's not being taken away from you. Right?
Man, I'd hate to be that guy's mentor. Like, one of the first things that I teach and that I was always taught was to be humble and respectful. Like how I acted, how I presented myself also reflected upon my mentor.
Right.
You know.
But see, handling conflict, define conflict, right? Are we talking the conflict where you've got witches that are raising up dead children's bones that they've dug up from psychiatric facilities, and then they start bonding them with Slavic demons and try to murder friends with them? That kind of conflict? Where you've got nightmare entities that are leaving physical wounds on the individual, right? Or is this petty human drama trying to figure out who or what a soul is?
Wait, me?
See, and this is where definition by Webster's dictionary. Yeah, that's not useful.
No, Webster dictionaries.
Wait, I'm confused. Wait, who's? Wait,
it's
you're asking
TL
me?
Transparency News. The guy that's right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not crossfaded. I promise.
Smoke another one, man.
You know,
here, I'll even join you.
Webster's definition: know the color of conflict.
The color of conflict.
Are you asking about for what?
I think you might be referring to the color red.
Broken statements, ATL. This is where the chat interactions with people. Like, I could just stop dealing with the chat. I think I should. But
we'll put a link out so he can come up. So you can. Is there a link you can put out there somehow?
Yeah.
That way people can come up. That way they can come up.
Come on up here.
I was going to ask you about that the other day. I forgot about it.
Let's have
come
that
on
chat.
up. Let's go.
Come on.
It's much easier to speak one-on-one than it is to speak while somebody's in chat.
Like I'm trying to teach a class, and you're coming out with random questions on conflict and what have you that have no bearing on the subject. So in relation to the subject, your questions aren't valid. In your own questions, in your own mind, and what's going on in your world, come up, share about it. What is it that you're trying to achieve?
Right, so we can all come learn.
Yeah,
exactly. Dude, I'm interested. Come on, dude.
What's up?
I think I'm up there.
What's up?
Now you're here.
Welcome.
Let's do this thing.
All right. So now, well, first of all, I didn't know that you were like teaching like some kind of a class.
Yes.
You know, I just picked a channel on YouTube that seemed interesting to find out what you were talking about. I didn't know that it was a closed class by any means.
Oh, no.
And as far as like the conflict is concerned, you were bringing up different things that happen with conflict.
Right.
You know, there might be a conflict over here, which might be a war. There might be a conflict over here that's kids fighting over candy. I'm not talking about the situations that are happening. I'm talking about the word conflict.
I'm talking about specific situations and how to
deal.
No.
I'm talking about conflict. You could put anything you want to it. Go ahead. I'm talking about the word conflict.
What in relation to that word? Like, what is it that what is it you want us to do with that word?
I don't want you to do anything with that word. I'm asking you what you mean by that word.
I mean the relationship between a situation arising in violent action.
I think I know.
Violent? Does it have to be, for you to use the word conflict, does violence have to be associated with it?
It generally always is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking, though. Because you're running a class, and I'm trying to understand it. And so, as a teacher, you're putting words out there, and I want to understand the words that you're using.
Okay,
so are you saying if I use the word conflict, will you always associate violence with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
And is violence something that you do not want in your class?
Violence is something I'm trying to avoid in the community as a result of what my classes are used for. I don't want the students that are here to become aggressors with the stuff that I teach. I don't want them to use it for harm against others.
Okay, now do all of your students know that you associate conflict with violence?
Now they do, thanks to you. And we do as a in-depth development over the hours we spend together.
Okay, and as a student, I don't give a fuck
with the word per se. Yeah. It's normally when I view conflict, I view violence because I'm a violent person. At nature. So when I hear the word conflict, I instantly think, okay, well, some sort of violent action is taking place within this conflict.
But isn't that what you're trying to get rid of?
Yes. Now,
violence.
Not get rid of.
I'm talking about
balance.
Violence is active. Conflicts are active disagreements, not passive. Violence is not a passive disagreement.
Right.
If we're talking
I'm
about
not talking about violence, though.
If we're talking about conflict, then naturally violence is a reasonable verb in conjunction with that statement. It's natural, it's normal, it makes sense.
Yeah.
When is violence passive? When is conflict passive?
I have no interest in violence.
Man,
I am interested in conflict.
Can I be blunt for a second?
Yeah.
Can I just be blunt for 1 second? You come in here with your speech full of roundabout and gotcha questions. Just come out and say what the hell you want to say so we can address. Because you're literally just dancing around stuff. And I'm not the kind of person that enjoys that. I don't think anybody truly is. I'm just the kind of person that'll just say, can we get on with it? So can we get on with it? Why are you actually here? What was your point in all of this?
Sounds like I'm ready.
Well, that's it. Because you had I'm sorry. Because you had an open room where you had a discussion. You invited me up.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a room that people could exchange ideas in.
Yeah.
And I think words are very important. Every single letter used in every single word and in context is very important and very much written in stone. If not, you're dealing with chaos. Because that's the only thing that we use to communicate other than a picture, or because we only have a computer screen to look at.
Right.
That's how we're communicating. So in order to truly learn exactly what you mean, you could say a lot more with a lot less. So by him telling me about the way he feels about the word conflict, I've learned a lot more about what this is about.
So, for example,
if you don't want me as a student, that's fine. And if I don't want you as a teacher, that's fine.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You're here, so let's teach and let's get into it. So C, right? In the Coptic letters and the alphabet, it is the letter for the air of fire. O is the letter of the sun. So you have the air, the movement, the spirit of a light moving into something. N, in this case, is going to be the letter of earth, of water. So there is an intangible moving through a light principle into something tangible as it becomes fluid. Right? Then you have F, which is the fire of air. Right? So then it becomes volatile. Then it becomes electric. then it becomes more engaged and dynamic, right? And so the very letters that you're talking about to make these words aren't etched in stone. They're etched in nature. They're etched in the behavior of these things as they make it. How do you feel about these things? What is your use to them, right? And so as you're developing your connection to these things, as you're going through to figure out, okay, well, what does it mean when I conjure up the gate of Venus at this particular hour on this particular day? Well, you're connecting to the outside world and those energies so that as you want to feel more of the thing that's inside you, you bring it out. Yang in its active state, yin in its recessive state. As it projects from you, it's its yang state, its active state, right? Yin is the receptive impregnation of who you could become and your potential, right? And so where is the conflict of your understanding in that? Where is it become violent and rocky? Where is it unstable? Where is it?
I've never associated conflict with violence.
Understand,
What do
right?
you associate conflict with?
You mentioned a war earlier. You said that you associate conflict with situations like war and disagreements. Where is violence not in war?
Yeah,
I never said that.
Yeah, dude.
No. See, that's the problem. That's when you take things out of context. I
You
say,
can either say, hey,
this person over here might consider war a conflict. This person over here might consider children fighting over candy a conflict. But conflict, and I express it in the example of violence.
Okay. So
I was using violent examples to ask if you associate that kind of idea with that word all of the time. I didn't say that conflict was violence. I didn't associate those two together. I'm asking you if that's the only way that you use it as the examples.
Okay, so like right now we're in conflict. There's a violence between the lack of understanding to try to figure out what is.
I don't see that.
Violent, turbulent waters, right? Like there's trying to understand what you're talking about versus what I'm trying to give you an understanding of, right? There is an upheaval. It is not peaceful. There is an emotional charge to it. There is stress. Where there is turbulence.
Right? Being excited about something is not a bad thing.
Oh no.
But it is. But it's not a peaceful state either, right? Because
why not?
It's something that's flow state. It's moment. It's the momentary movement of flow, right?
Transition.
Right. Change, chaos, death, these kinds of things.
Oh, chaos is not transition. Chaos is something.
Chaos is very much transitional.
Yeah.
Chaos is chaos.
Chaos is the physical world. In Greek, the spelling for chaos is XAOS. It means all things in the physical universe in every condition they could possibly be in. Right? You have the environment as the environment is, and whatever goes on in the environment is the environment, and therefore it is chaos.
Yeah, no,
it's very
when
weird.
Chaos to another, it goes to a state of entropy. When I am heating up,
you put a bunch of different words onto chaos.
Wait. When I am heating up a piece of steel at my forge, and I am hammering it, it is going through entropy. It is going through chaos, and it is being changed. Chaos and entropy are very much part of transition.
And you don't change metal without violent action. Like you can't, like you're hitting the hammer. Like Alex is hitting.
And if you think you can't come to my forge, if you can.
What is it about?
I'd love to see it.
What
chaos
is it about
chaos?
Chaos
is change in the way that change is not stable. Chaos is not stable because it is change. Change being the only constant of chaos. If something was chaotic, it wouldn't be stable and staying on its one direction. It would be transforming, changing. It would have a transformation. At least understand the words.
No, well, when you're doing stuff in your forge, you hammer things and they do what you expect them to do, right?
No.
So when you slam on that hammer, does the hammer turn into a feather?
It could shatter. It could crack. I could get some scale. I could have it hit. There
All within
could
reason.
be an inconsistency in the metal. No, you
It's very
don't go.
reasonable.
Oh yeah. No,
Those are very reasonable
Go again.
ideas. Those are
Okay.
very reasonable ideas and very functional.
Let me
Because
bring-
what made the hammer crack was the force that you applied to it when hitting.
Right. Okay.
That-
So here's
that-
an example, right?
I
There was
said
a-
in the steel, not the hammer.
Deep breath.
Whatever, there's a reason why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And so here's an example, right? I was in high school. There was a gal was trying to
Chaos is
prevent
not
a
freeway.
dude from beating another guy with a rock. So she grabbed it from said dude. His name was Will. She grabbed it and threw it into a grove of trees where we had done ritual work, right? We go back to search for it about 5 minutes afterwards to go get it to make sure that it's not going to be picked up by a dude again when you drop it in the river. But we go back to try to find it. The only thing that's there, no rock anywhere, only an orange. No rock.
It went through the ritual spacing, was changed into an orange.
Interesting.
It was an
Now,
orange. It wasn't a rock. It was an orange. And it was a big fucking piece of asphalt. Like, you can't miss this thing.
yeah, but the way that happened, we know how it happened.
She wanted it to be something that couldn't be used to hurt somebody.
Okay.
So from the chaos,
We knew what was going to happen.
Really?
You think it's an algorithm, sure.
Through it. She had no idea. She just did the
All
action.
ball down to
wanted
the
to go.
Christ child.
What was that?
He
So
said
when you
that
threw the rock,
he knew
oh,
it
I'm
was
sorry.
going to happen. And I'm like, I didn't, so I'll bow down to the Christ child. Because I sure as hell didn't know that a piece of asphalt would turn to an orange.
like,
It could have turned into
Does
one of
that
those
happen?
billion other things.
That fucking happened.
I've lived
Does
my,
asphalt turn into an orange?
yeah.
When I was in high school, that shit happened. That same fucking
Yeah.
afternoon.
A piece of asphalt turned into an orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
That she wanted it to be something that could not be used to hurt somebody.
And
And orange really can't be used to hurt anybody. I mean, unless you freeze that
Unless
thing.
you have a sock. Unless you have a sock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
we,
Hey,
we,
man.
we
We're not
yeah,
trying
it
to
was-
give ideas
it was
here. We're
something-
trying to take away ideas.
I don't
Did
understand.
she leave and come back? You said she left and came back, huh?
No, like, okay, so we were waiting for the buses at the bus stop at the high school, right? It was this long area. There was the nurse's hut, there was a grove, and then there was a loop around for where the cars could go pick up their kids.
Uh-huh.
So
People, right?
we took the rock from the bus stop, threw it into the field across where the cars would go pick up the kids, and then she went, after dude got on his bus, over to go pick up the fucking piece of asphalt. Like, it was a
So the orange was in a place where people habitate.
but the asphalt wasn't. There
But the
was no
asphalt
piece of
wasn't.
asphalt anywhere in that piece of grass or on the edges of that grass leading in the distance where she threw it.
Yeah, that you could find, yeah.
So,
I believe it.
There was nobody that walked there in the interim.
Okay, but there was other people in that area, right? Humans were there.
no.
Not anywhere near there. Not for hours.
So wait, you said there was a road near it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where it was supposed to be. This was after hours on the weekend. There was no
Okay, so there was roads there.
Yeah,
So-
there was. He had to go and do his thing, so he got picked up, but he was causing a fight with somebody else. So in this moment of the fight, the rock was taken out of play, right, and it was thrown into this field. The only thing I'm saying about anything of that nature happening was that something was and something wasn't, right? In the same kind of way where there was an energetic transference of I was pushing energy, trying to direct something somewhere, right, and set off the car alarm next to me instead of where I was aiming by the shift of pressure. Michael has demonstrated wind rising when he makes his conjurations of these spirits. There are visual representations of when we're making these conjurations of these gates, light entering
You in the fridge?
to do these manifestations. And that's the documentation that Sprad is putting out there, is that so
Don't you think people would want to know about that? Turning a rock into an orange?
what was that?
People would want to know about that, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
But it's that
That's
one.
why
It's
we're learning.
dimensions. Yeah, it's being able to do that shit on purpose. So when you get into the alpha state of brainwaves, when you're in state, right, is what I call it, in flow state, right? You can use the 447 hertz, I believe it is, for your meditations to kick into alpha state. DARPA and the CIA released documents about the gateway experiments, which talk about REM stuff on the edges of sleep where you fuck with consciousness. At the level 5 alpha states, with the Silva method or whatever other self-hypnotic methods that you can do, reality bending is observed to occur, right? Minor illusions of being able to take something from a solid into this plane, into another plane, if visual representation of that space is possible. Like it's illusory magic. It's viable. It's possible. It's like a bilocation and astral projection, where you're in one space here, you're over there, and then you've managed to create that quantum tunnel, and then boom, there it is. And it's the study and the interaction of that study to be able to put the individual body where the light of consciousness that exists inside of them can also exist simultaneously outside of them as a sort of walking double slit experiment.
Do you speak any other languages?
No.
Okay.
Does that question go anywhere?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what do you mean by that? What in relation to what we're speaking on? What does that question have?
Why are we feeding the troll?
I don't think it's...
No, I'm trying to
He's not a troll.
Understand.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry I didn't give you an answer or a reply in the time frame that you consider acceptable.
Oh no,
And I'm trying to
No, it's everything
organize
about you.
my ideas as well.
Troll.
I don't think this is like some sort of issue.
I can verify
This is fun.
for you. He's not a troll.
We're just having a conversation. We're both learning from this topic.
Right.
And I think that one party
who hangs
speaking at a time and open communication with like an air of positivity rather than the conflict that was mentioned earlier is important within this.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I apologize. It's my fault.
As somebody who hangs out in the 1A community, okay, which is where ATL transparency is from, all right, we got to divide the witchcraft. This whole deal that we're doing is very new, especially here in YouTube, Rumble, wherever we put this out at. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of people from the cannabis community, from the ufology community, from the 1A community that are curious to what we're doing and what we're talking about. So we should be expecting more people like ATL to come into these with questions, whether they go somewhere or not. You know what I mean? And respond to not just say, "Oh, your demeanor acts like you're a troll." Maybe it's somebody that's just understanding the level of complicity that we're talking about. See, because we know about energy and we're on different wavelengths, okay, we got to understand that these people coming into these aren't on this wavelength. So as we're spitting these terms out and we're going through all these analogies and things, we got to grasp the concept that maybe these people that are coming in don't grasp these concepts. So we have to go back down. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just throwing this out because, like I said, I can verify ATO ain't a troll. I hang in
mutual respect.
Mutual respect. Yeah, it's like I love the interaction and I love the participation in the comments. But what I'm trying to do is, okay, well, you're not part of the pagan community. You're not. Do you do ceremonial high magic? Have you ever met an entity outside yourself that you know exists, that you've seen or had conversations with? Right? Have you ever had these interactions of manifestations where your will was the only difference between your life and death, depending on a situation that you were in? So my friend Katrina, my friend Chris, and myself were walking home one night in Napa back in high school. We were going to cross the street, and this car turns around, is a truck, makes an illegal U-turn. Somebody gets out of the truck with a tire iron and starts running after the three of us. Our feet hit the moment of this railroad track for the wine train. There is no train. This is dark. It's like 9 o'clock at night. We're walking home after going and hanging out at a friend's house playing Vampire the Masquerade, right? This fucking shit happens. And this train comes out of fucking nowhere, giving us just enough time to book it into
Oh,
the
my phone's dying.
fence. When this motherfucker's chasing at us with a tire iron. And all three of us are holding hands and we're collectively stepping up and off the railroad track. And this manifestation occurs. This is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get these guys to be able to interact with and explore so we can document it when it occurs, so we can study these events, because these are events which are paradox. They should not exist. Normal world stuff should not be able to have instantaneous manifestations like this, but it does regularly. Like I've seen, is it the physics of the bowling ball to jump out of the gutter when it gets thrown into the gutter and get a strike? There's only a certain way you can throw a bowling ball down the bowling lane to do that. Right? And yet,
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
It's these moments where magic happens. What are we able to do to document when magic happens? And what
You see that there, right there. That's a big, big jump that you just made.
How so?
What?
This is where magic happens.
Right. In those moments of inexplicability. Right? Where those spaces of, hey, that shit shouldn't have happened. It did. Holy shit, cool.
I'm not talking about the color of the situation, the reaction to it.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the actual.
It's the whole situation. It's what is every element that goes into that. What is the color of the lights in the room? What is the day of the week? What is the time of the day? What is the time of the month? What are the stars doing in that moment? So you have fixed conditions which you can refer to behaviors with. Dr. Glenn Perry was a PhD, who's a psychologist, who combined astrological behaviors of people with the historical meanings of the astrological understandings in the stars. So he divided it out between yin, yang, elements, the planets, the astrological behaviors based on his clinical studies in the field as it relates to psychology and people's behaviors, right? And so
chicken and the egg and spooky action.
Right.
That is quite literally the scientific method to finding these fixed states and recording them and understanding them and see where they transgress again, see where it occurs again, and try to build a rapport out of it.
Right. And so like with today, the first
But
part
then you always
egg,
battle the chicken and the egg.
the chicken had to come first, didn't it? Because the chicken had to make the egg.
Genetically speaking, the chicken would have came first, and then the egg would have been its offspring, if we're talking in terms of evolution.
Right.
Maybe the egg came first, though. Maybe the egg was brought here from another dimension.
Well, a lot of cells look like eggs. So if we go down on a deeper level, technically speaking, maybe the egg did come first.
Are you getting into biochemistry?
I gotta go. I gotta pick my wife from work, and then I have to pick up my son from school.
Well, thanks for coming up, ATL.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You come on kind of later in the afternoon, and my free time is usually a little bit earlier than this. My free time is more like 9 to 12. Those are like my free time. I wish you guys were on a little bit earlier, and I try to squeeze in listening to you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We appreciate having you here.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you.
We'll see you.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there.
See, and that's
Mike.
awesome.
That was a fucking roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, but them guys from the 1A community, when you get to know them, they're a trip, man. They're out there, they're putting themselves on the line. They're doing transparency between us and the police because of all the corruptness with them localized members of government.
Right.
So
I'm glad.
They're out there, risking their ass going to jail and being away from their families and shit for, payback for something they may have caught on video or something. Like, I mean, there's a lot of good auditors out there.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it came.
To see them even be interested in the craft or the things that we're talking about giggles me. I can giggle at because that's awesome.
I didn't care for much of the yelling over and the everyone shouting something different at the same time because no one can get their ducks in a row. But
like I said, we're gonna have that when we have people coming in from the ufology community or somebody coming in from the cannabis community that's not understanding the depth of the conversation that we're getting into. You know, there's going to be a little bit of I'm lost, but you know, I don't want to seem like I'm lost. And
there needs to be patience, mutual respect, and understanding.
Right. And that's it's like, okay, so we're talking about conflict, right? Or we're talking about one situation or one setting or one understanding, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation at hand. Right. Like, oh well, that's a derailment. Okay, so we're talking about this now, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was a bit of a thing. I was slightly I stayed quiet, but I was a little peeved at first because he sounded like a wannabe Jordan Peterson trying to throw philosophical arguments or add context to things that didn't need it, instead of actually listening to like the thing with the orange and the asphalt. But due to me listening and just waiting and understanding, you know, shit worked itself out.
What I get from it was he doesn't really necessarily believe in otherworldly beings, paranormal, things like that. This is just what I get from him. It might not be true, but because when Brian had said about this is where magic happens, he was like, now see, that's where we got the problem. So obviously he doesn't really believe, you know what I mean, in things like orbs shooting into pendulums or shadow figures, or you see what I'm saying, or even magic, like, you know, doing a spell and the outcome happening, you know, and we got many cases where we can prove that we've done this chant or this incarnation and the outcome is positive. You know what I mean? It's just these people coming in aren't expecting this because they've never felt this energy. They've never dealt with it. They've never manipulated it and had a better outcome for their, you know what I mean? So it's all new to them. They don't know how to grasp that.
Yeah. And so that becomes difficult because the definition as Crowley defines it is magic is the manipulation of the environment in accordance with your will.
Thank you, Aleister Crowley.
Right? That is what we're talking about. Where did your will influence the environment? Right. That is where magic happens. Right. That is an absolutely true statement. When your will interacts with the environment to get the gutter ball out of the gutter and make a strike, to turn a rock into an orange, to have a Coke can fly the fuck across the room when there is a ghost present or something present to move physical shit around you. To have little hands creeping up on you in fucking
door
video.
Shutting on you.
Door shutting.
A ghost showing up in your goddamn
closet.
Yeah, go. It's on video. Go look at it. I mean, these things happen. Little girl's hand coming up over my shoulder, touching me. You know, door shutting on me.
My
things being in mirrors. Like, these things exist. These energies, you call them ghosts, but they're actually residual energy or energy. Period.
Right.
These things exist, and until you experience it firsthand, many people don't believe it. And I understand where they're coming from. It's hard to believe until you actually see it or you know, feel it or it happens.
Right. Is it an echo or is it an actual spirit? You know, what is it? Right. Does it come at a certain time every day? Or is it sporadic? All of that matters.
It does. And how you relate to it, how you're conditioned to respond to it, is the point of personal development. How you respond to these energies, if you can understand, well, that same tingle that you feel over here is the same tingle that you experienced in a ritual chamber when you evoke the gate of fire and earth, and it's the same energy, guess what? You're dealing with something that's going to be an originating energy of that greater source, and you can identify it.
It's almost like the Christians when they go into their temple and they get baptized and everybody's all happy and they get this energy feeling like they're light and fluff. It's the same energy.
Right.
I will say though, go underneath that water. You do feel something. There is something.
No, that's any water getting baptized, whether it be in Christianity or in Luciferian. Yeah. it's you know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Hoodoo and Palo and Santeria and stuff like that. It's cleansing baths. It's your go-to cleansing to take care of yourself and your spiritual hygiene is you'll wash the shit off of you. Right. But as far as whoever our Facebook user is, It's not giving me your name.
Hold on, man. I'll go in there and see because I also have it streaming into the sorcery group.
Okay, yeah. So there's somebody that's in there that's had experience of books opening and closing in the air by themselves. Yeah, shit like that. That's not necessarily a poltergeist. That could be other things, right? Like the Grimoire of Arts is a sentient entity, even though its form is in this world of book.
That's Steven.
Oh, okay.
He says that's poltergeist energy, right? Not necessarily. It can be residual energy.
It could be residual from the book. It could be something that's interacting with the book. There could be something in the book. It's just there's a whole bunch of conditions that unless we have all of the conditions that are available, right, in sample forms of what are the 28 considerations for any given moment or any given image, right? In the same kind of way that we can extrapolate many layers of meaning. Well, what is every single fucking layer of meaning and how do they relate to each other in the same way we do a tarot spread with all the different meanings thrown out in front of us? When we're trying to read the energy of the day, well, through those meanings of the energy of the day that we can see and observe, through tarot cards, through known systems of sympathy, these relate to these feel like these do these, I can understand what might come if these occur. And it's an entire process of homogenizing the relationship of the self with the environment so that there is no conflict. Like it's even flow. Like it's outside you, it's inside you, it flows as one.
Like I did in Centralia when I called forth the wind.
Right.
I had everything set up, sigil, incense, candle. I called forth the wind and it came.
Right, but there's a start point and a stop point of that energy flow. You called it forth, it did the thing, it ended, and it left, and you closed it down.
Yes.
Right?
No.
In nature, what happens in the reason why paranormal investigations are so hard to do, like, is because there are so many goddamn variables in every situation.
Yep.
And situational awareness is really hard to do when you're out in the field. And see, when we choose to do ritual, like the ritual that Sandy did with the Rite of Transformation, right? With Wicked Angel, with what she did, she's got the ritual space set. Nothing is in that ritual space that she did not otherwise intend to be there. So it's like a laboratory environment. So it's a controlled environment. And out in nature, out in the wild, out in the field, those controls are gone. Those don't exist in wild magic. So you have to be able to transfer from ritual chambers to out in the world.
I can definitely concur with that because you'll hear things like if you're in the woods just walking, you'll hear the spirits of the trees, the spirits of all around you just spout things off to you. It's unlike when you are in a ritual space where you don't have that. You have to, out in the wild, you have to distinguish what are you and what is them.
Right. Where you start and stop and where they start and stop. And so that way, as you start and stop together, how are you relating to them? Right. And this again goes back to why Daniel needs to be able to open up the 1728 without having a reason in the initial interim. Because once you do it and you get that feeling and you get to know those many levels of differences and divergences, it becomes something that becomes more beneficial to the individual for their individual gnosis, which might not translate into verifiable gnosis for others, right? This is where setting up a UPG becomes the foundation for setting up gnosis, because it gives you a foundation to know these things yourself before you know these things in the outside world.
Yes, like it's not like these things in the 1728 can't be accessed without it, but this gives the foundation for that to be smooth and coherent, you know?
Right.
It makes it easier. It gives foundation and stability instead of going through it some other way without foundation or format. You already have the road right here.
Exactly. And so you walk the road whose course does not turn back. That is a road. You set the road. You want to meet these energies. You want to do these things. You do it. Right?
That road opening, yeah.
But it's not always good and it's not always bad. It's dependent on the situation and the individual's behavior as it responds to those things. So it could be in a violent kind of way, right? Where there's conflict and high emotions and everybody gets talking over one another and there's the whole like drama moment that happened a little bit earlier. but there's also expression of something developmental, right? There's something good can come out of it, an understanding of a meaning of a situation, of a definition.
We planted a seed, is what I feel.
Yeah. You know, and this is not a cult. I don't want cults. I want cult-like. I want us to be working towards common aims, dedicating a respectable life path to it, because these things are beneficial, right? Mike's got his cult of paranormal development. He will develop his life and his community around those things as it relates to the paranormal, right? But it's open to people to have these discussions, to share. Hey, this is the research. These are the people that are doing it. Decide for yourself, right? So as we get audited, as people are like, "Oh my God, that's either a very viable system of study or not." Like, I have all the proofs of method. I have all the screenshots and what have you from client work or from your guys' stuff that you guys send through. I try to take screenshots of that so that way we have full documentation available to us as far as what we get up to.
Right.
So we have that available, which we teach, right? But if people are just going to come on and cause a fight or cause a problem or try to show that they understand what we're talking about without actually understanding what we talk about, there needs to be a better way of that interaction. Because you guys came to this knowing me through paganism, right? Knowing or stealing the Grimoire of Hearts in Daniel's case, right? Like, the way y'all come to have these conversations, these are conversations you're ready to have, right? But whereas people that are new to the concept of these conversations aren't even ready to be part of our conversation here because they don't know for themselves. Well, did they ever experience this, this, and this? Did they ever do this in this hour? And if they're saying, no, they didn't do it, well, how can they say that it doesn't work if they didn't do it themselves in the hour to do the thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
We do. It does. It did. Responses are posted. Documents are made.
I got notebooks upon notebooks from the start, like even from last year when I joined the conversations with you guys. Like, I got notes for days.
I got a whole page full, a couple pages full.
Yeah, I could fill up a carload with just books of notes. So this is not an easy science to understand. All right, and it is a science because there is elements to it that you can study. There's at least 9 different ways to look at the situation through different lenses that apply source technique to be able to say, okay, well, is this real? Is this a real occurrence? Does it have a mind? Does it have a spirit? Does it have a body? Does it have an experience? Does it change that experience? Therefore, it has a life and a death. Does it have a light state? Does it have a dark state? Right? Does it have a chaos state, the physical body in which it interacts with the physical world, right? Like, these are the different things. So for those that are just coming in, who is using this stuff, right, is not the thing that we've been focusing on. We've been focusing on why it's being used. Who's using it is an entirely different conversation. Because Doc uses it for Doc's purposes, Mike uses it for Mike's purposes, Sandy for her purposes, Alex for his purposes, Daniel for his purposes, and everybody has a purpose, right? It's just about how do we do it together in a way that works. Are you getting manifestation from the spells I'm teaching you? If it's a yes, great, let's keep it up. So you can get more experience, you can get more manifestation, you can get more documentations. It's not just, ooh, spooky shit that's happening that I can't document. I can't touch, I can't see, can't feel, can't smell. Well, you can smell the incense. You can feel the hair standing up on your end. You can see the lights shifting around you as you make these conversations. You can feel the wind raising when you conjure up the spirits. Like, this is not something that is illusory. This shit is tangible.
Yeah, we ain't Hollywood.
I mean, I didn't just see the spirit over my daughter, talking to her in her sleep. I didn't just see the spirit in the TV when it showed up. I felt it.
Yeah, see, I've had shit visibly in front of me. Sometimes called, sometimes not called. Like, I've seen it, like I've seen people. Had its thoughts, not my own thoughts. And I haven't seen it since. Like, it was a once off. Like, it was occurrence. Like, it happened. And they're as real as people. It's just they might not be on this dimension. And I'd like to find out more. And I'd like to leverage every single technology on the planet in order to be able to figure out, okay, well, how do we do that?
Right. And it's like, this is the kind of stuff that got my buddy interested in the paranormal. Like when I said one day, hey, let's go paranormal hunting, and he said, I'm down. Well, we were both in his room, and we were both sleeping. We both are waking up to a figure of a woman staring down at him. We both are seeing it at the same time in the same space. And then it turns to me, disfigures its face, and then disappears. They were having paranormal happenings before, but no physical manifestation. That physical manifestation anchored that belief there is something out there for him.
Right. Yeah, like there's the people that are out there. That's generally going to be your non-spiritualists. It's going to be your atheists. It's going to be your Christians. It's going to be your people that are hiding behind a faith or a belief in something that's not real. They choose to believe it's not real, so they're putting all of their faith in the belief that it is not real. That's what keeps them safe. All right? They choose that their magic manifests not real stuff, right? That's what they're choosing. When they adopt that perspective, they choose to not believe it. They choose to not have that awareness of it. Whereas folks like us, our belief is irrelevant. We can believe all the things we want, but we've seen shit. It's fact. Fact and belief. I trust what I've seen and experienced.
I trust my research.
Right. Like,
I mean,
that's the only reason I'm still fucking alive.
Out of curiosity, because I'm looking through this, I wonder what else there is within the Grimoire of Arts that I haven't undergone as like in a ritual setting.
I mean, that the whole book is a fucking ritual. Like,
yeah,
dude, that like what you guys read in 400 pages, right? You're like, oh my god, it's an enormous book. Well, it's 10 years to go through that stuff, to create that stuff, to work on that stuff, to do that stuff. 10 years.
What took you months to figure out is taking us a couple hours to do.
Right.
You know, and it takes time to develop that stuff.
Right. You know, so the ritual that Sandy did today, right? The ritual that Mike did last year, I did those in 2008. Right? For me, it was a very, very long time ago. Every time I hear that conjuration being spoken by someone else, I'm like, holy crap, I never expected it to be out there in the world, let alone on YouTube, with a group of people that are actually following along the ritual and doing the same goddamn thing.
I think that's ironic.
It's like all the other books of magic out there, like the shadow magic book for the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, right? You're going into the shadows to go do your cave meditation to get a symbol only you can understand, right? Like, that's a druid type of magic that you need to do to connect you to this world stuff, right? The Grimoire of Arts is the stuff that isn't attached to this world that you bring into this world. Right? It's what's on the other side of the gates that are not human. What's on the other side of the worlds that are not your normal experiences. And putting you as the crossing point, you become Midgard. You become the middle pillar between your left hand and your right hand, between severity and mercy. because you become the judge of that moment. Right? You become the awareness of that moment and that energy as you bring it into the world in that vibration. So as you do your thing, whatever your thing is, you're cultivating some kind of change and understanding at a transition point. Chaos.
Right. One of the things I put for in my tradition for my family was we are the bridge between the spiritual and the physical.
Right. And so this is how you become that bridge. You guard the gates of knowledge, right? Like that's Papa's role. Right? Go forth and judge, and by your judgment protect that which you deem innocent. Right? And guard the gates of knowledge. Well, how do you do that? Well, you have to be able to guard things. Well, how can you protect things if you can't defend things? If you can't defend things, you can't fight things. How do you fight things? You have to have a reason to fight. What's your reason?
Russia. Ow.
Yeah, it needs to be accountable for, right? In the same kind of way that as the individual business owner develops whatever tree of interaction that their community engages with, starts off with an email or concept, right? Intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into the Facebook community groups, and then it goes into interacting with the Facebook community groups, doing live video feeds, things like that. And then it starts interacting with, okay, I like this person well enough to send them contact information so that I can interact with them over the messenger, right? And then over Messenger, it develops into, okay, well, I'll meet this person in the Zoom. And then after the Zoom, and then you're going to be like, okay, well, I want to do more things with this person. So then we'll hang out for hours on end on phone calls, right? Or we'll start mailing shit back and forth to them. And then we're going to start interacting with them, and I'll actually see you people in person, right? And then we're doing life together, right? Like that's the progression of this shit. That's how this stuff works. It's that cultivation of energetic relationships that we're doing in a tangible, intangible way with people in our community here to demonstrate what the individual magician needs to do as they go out there and start interacting with the intangible shit that will never be human.
I'm half tempted to be an impatient little guy and run the 1728 right now.
That's
like I keep looking over it.
There's a lot of pages, my man.
Yeah, it's 40. It's 40 something or a little less. At least in a single like line to line, I counted it from 260.
I think that
something to 300.
I think we should make that its own separate stream.
Yeah.
Wait. Well, no. Technically, I mean, from the PDF format, it is 40 pages. On book in person, it is different, just because of the way it's formatted.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about it and looking at it, and I'm like, shit. Should I do this? I need to wait. Should I do it right now? Ooh, fun.
Your body is the temple. Your words are the will. Set your will to change the temple. Don't break it. But yeah, you can do it now. You can do it whenever you want. That's what that spell is for. It's like whenever you need that energy, the gates will always open.
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know. I wanna go into my next shift having that under my belt, added to the repository of things. It's like the fanny pack of all of existence and inexistence.
Exactly.
See, my phone's at 11%. Should I charge it? Do I just do this now?
Yeah, good. Well, we've been here for 2 hours, 45 minutes almost, right?
Holy shit. So you guys got a long stream this time. We're making up for the stream we didn't do.
Yeah, we really are. So, holy shit. Like today, like talk about flow state. Talk about like all the things, all the different conversations and the levels of the conversation that we went into, right? Like it was only supposed to be like showcase what Wicked Angel got up to and be like, yay, rite of transformation. But now we get to actually show like the different stages of what people are trying to develop in relation to their own growth. From people in the 1A community that have no foundation with what we're talking about, no interest in understanding, well, if you do meditations here, get into the alpha state for this or these kinds of things,
Shit, if you want to bring that outside, we'd love to smoke it.
Fuck it.
Yeah, whoever our Facebook user is that's posting stuff about their PTSD and things like that, that might not be an appropriate place to post those things. But yes, as a matter of fact, I have.
It's not on the hold on a minute.
I mean, even Bruce Lee went through shock therapy, but his shock therapy was to develop muscle.
Yeah. No, I've done like the TENS units and things like that, or like the.
That's Steven.
Okay. Yeah. So it's one of those things where yes, that is a thing that is done. Yes, that has happened. Yes, those are memories and things that are fragmented and broken. There's a whole period of time I can't account for. But anyway, Daniel, go do your conjuration and you let us know how it goes. All right, bro?
You know what? I'm gonna do it right now. I'll yeah. Here, I may mute up for a bit. I don't know if my phone's gonna die or anything, but if I can make it back before everything crashes after saying the conjuration and everything, then we'll get to see.
All right. Go for it.
All right.
All right.
I'm still. How's the sun outside? Does it look?
It's bright.
Is it bright? Yeah. Is there shadows? Yes, there are shadows. Good. Okay, I'm gonna work on probably shadow basics today. Some more. While I have the sun out. Utilize your environments, right?
Yep, exactly. So a lot of the time, so again, we're talking about going back to what ATL was getting on about, right? It's like there is a lot of conflict that happens in the hoodoo communities. There is a lot of conflict that happens in the worker communities where one worker will post something on Facebook and then another worker will copy the post and hack that post, and then they will try to get more sales using the same method or the same technique that they copy from somebody else. So they straight up rip off somebody's marketing. They rip off it's like funnel hacking, right? They try to do that to other workers, right? But at the same time, what they're also doing, people like the swamp folks over there or various kinds of the hoodoo communities that are big and supposedly well known, well, they'll hex each other too. They'll try to pull light to their roads and diminish the roads of others, right? So they're trying to intentionally work against the interests of other workers to make their work better than it is. And that's what you get with a lot of the swamp witches. You get a lot of like the witchcraft communities. You get a lot of the hoodoo communities. There's a lot of shit that happens behind the scenes. The professional workers who take clients and do professional gigs for money, right? And spell work and stuff like that. You'll never see them posting in Facebook groups. Most of the real workers will never do what I've done. And that is they won't teach people. They won't share with what they know. They'll just do it quietly in the background, right?
Yeah.
But because of what this book does, because of what the Grimoire is, and because of what it does for people, right? In giving them access to this new energy, there was not these ancient energies, and a new framework that allows them to get a handle on their spirituality, so they want to do it. Omenstar, you've wanted to do more things since you trapped the Venus gates. You've been more engaged in everything you're doing. Non-engagement is not a problem, right? You haven't run away to go do something else. You're doing this every day, hours and hours. This.
My girlfriend I'm pretty much married to this program.
Okay, what was that?
Because my girlfriend will come home. Oh, you're still on this?
I was just about to say that.
I told you. I called it.
Yeah.
So I can get off if I need to, baby girl.
Your cat's eating dog food.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta get off, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Awesome, bro. We'll see you later. I don't mind us having people in the auditing community taking a look at what we do and say, hey, is this the thing we're talking about, right? I don't mind it.
Bro. That's a big step to grab the auditing community's attention. Like, Now,
I
if we
want
can
us to
just
be
take the
friends with them.
ufology, we can get
Yes.
ufology and cannabis online. That's 3 communities in the YouTube realm that paying attention to what we're doing.
Right. But I also want to make sure that what we're doing here in the classes, in the rituals that you guys are undertaking, right? Like in the hours that we spend not in the public format, to get this stuff so that you guys are comfortable with it, so that you understand these behaviors, you understand these responses, you understand from the perspective of people that did these clinical studies that we're applying similar approaches to our own study. And the live time interaction is that study in progress, right? The books that we write, the material that we create, the content we put out there, the challenges we deliver into the marketplace in order to be able to push engagement or development of a thing in a new way, right? People can look at that all day long. It's like that's the history of what we're doing. We're the same people online and offline. It's like if you want this information wherever you find me, like if it's at the sex club, last night I was talking about getting a kinky tarot class started because there's a bunch of people that want to learn how to do tarot cards at the sex club.
There you go. Kinky tarot. Fuck yeah.
Right?
Why not, man? Like, shit, you know? We don't, like I keep telling people, we don't live in the fucking dark ages anymore. Like,
Yeah.
we have a, what the fuck? What is it? A free world?
Supposedly.
Like, okay, and what are we? Sorcerers, right? So we mold our reality. Like, has there ever been a kinky sex like thing? None that I know of. Get your groove on, bro.
Yeah, right? So
Something new to introduce to the market.
Apparently, FetLife can do video streaming too. Or
there you go.
So I might have some FetLife community only. So find the Academy of Sorcery on FetLife as well as on Facebook and YouTube and all that.
Put your pirate suit on, get on there, and advertise for the Academy.
Right?
Are you hard, guy?
Matey. And go butt pirates to the dude. There are but that's the thing, right? Is like as sorcerers, right? We become the face of the role we embody. Right? We are magic. It falls out everywhere. There's no hiding from it and what people want from us. Because as you've gotten approached for witchcraft, right? You get approached for people like, hey, can you talk to them about this thing because you do the thing?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, right? Like it happens. We don't get to, once we start this, we don't get to stop this. This is what we are, not who we are. Who we are, we have to choose. Who we are, we have to make sure that we are benefit to the community. So I'm not an ass to the auditing community if I'm trying to get my stuff out into different communities. Students aren't assholes. My students aren't out there trying to intentionally hex other workers because another worker might have a better response with a client because their ad or their copy was better. But at the end of the day, if person over there who stole the advertisement, right, cloned the process, their shit doesn't work because they don't understand the process, well, guess what? We're still getting that client who went over there first. We're still getting them. They still come here to get their shit fixed.
Right.
They still go to Keith to get unfucked. And Keith calls me up when he's got shit that he wants, like that needs an extra special fuckery. Like that's my department. It's like the extra fuckery. Like
that's the thing. We witches, we sorcerers, we druids, we mages, we all work together for the benefit of humanity. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it was way back in the day before they got stomped by other religions. Right.
And we're helping the communities. We're out there. We're building a community. We're trying to get folks in the 1A community to understand that magic is the moment where the world changes. Whether you are in control of that change or not, it is the world that changes. You stopped the rock turning orange. You found, that moment. The can on the table, right? Like the world moved that. You did not. That was something else. It's that something else, the study and the interaction of that something else. Well, how do we do that? Well, we can understand ourselves as much of the line of ourselves in the relationship to the world as possible. We can understand every energy that moves inside of us and underneath our skin to the projection of what's existing outside of our body. We can understand right to our noses in our auric field. That is the only thing we have a responsibility for is our auric field. Where our auric field ends, the rest of the world begins.
Exactly.
And so when we open up gates or create seals, it's marking inside our auric field, so that way we have those boundaries and those barriers and those kinds of things. Right? And so then you should put an altar candle up for those people that died during false accusations. Right? So I've got a friend who is part of the right? And their ancestor, when they got accused of doing witchcraft, turned against others and started ratting out others in the Salem witch trials. Like that was their family. It's like they got accused of witchcraft. They're like, no, it wasn't me. It was these other people to save their own skin. All right. So putting that spirit's ancestry candle on the same altar as, say, for example, Stephen's altar candle for that honoring of the person who died under false accusation, right? That would create conflict, would it not? That would create a sort of violence against one spirit to the other, would it not? Theoretically. What do you think?
I'm looking. I don't see on either site. I don't see that comment. It's in the Academy or on the Sorcery page. Where else on Facebook are we?
We're in the Academy of Sorcery, and then we're wherever you're streaming.
Yeah. Okay. Sorcery, Necromancy, and Paranormal. I looked in both, and I didn't see either comment.
Yeah. So if you've got two separate spirits that might have an issue with each other because they were at the same time and place together, and one did something stupid, one didn't do something stupid, or you put them together on the same altar, not good things will happen. And this is why not blending altars together. This is why not all gods are as one God. Like, all gods are as one God, yeah, but not all gods need to be worshipped at the same time. Not all intermediaries, not all Santos, not all spirits, not all Lawan, not all Mpungo, not all Nikisi, not all any of the trolls or any of these kinds of things.
Right. Like, for instance, you see back here where my glass, that little piece of glass sticking up back here.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing made of like glass pipes and bongs and things.
Right. That's your altar to Gaia, right?
Ceremonies for Gaia. Because again, I live on Mother Earth. Like, she keeps me sustained. And then I got my main altar over here, which I use for, my main deity and everything I do magic wise. So separate altars, guys.
Yeah. But if you've got the like a white candle to honor your dead with a glass of water for it, and you refresh it every week, right? Like the creation of the Boveda, right? And so as you go through in Spiritismo, you start with a white cloth on the floor with a candle and a bowl of water and maybe some flowers, and then every day for a week, starting on Saturday up through next Saturday, and you raise it up to the height of a table. So you actually literally elevate your ancestors, going from the floor to the table. You're bringing them up, right? And if they do really, really good work for you, you can raise them higher than that. Put them on shelves, put them up on the wall, put them up higher, right? And then you elevate up that energy and that current, because you're bringing it up from the earth back up to heaven, right? You're giving it an energetic restore point, essentially. But when we do this, when we're doing with gate magic, we're not dealing with the physical world. We're not dealing with anything that ever existed on the physical world. We're dealing with energetic conceptions of the infinite through our connection and subconscious. What we feel, why we feel it, what are the moments we're in. So it becomes an act of sorcery because we are connecting to source. We are source in the moment we are using it. And that's different than witchcraft, where we're using the earth, or we're using spiritual traditions to deal with what's here. We're bringing shit to here. We're not using what's here. And so when we do that, it is unstable. It can be dangerous. And again, this is where we have these long conversations. And I was hoping that Daniel would come back by now, but that is a mighty long conjuration.
Yeah, I think he's going to be busy a bit.
Yeah, it might knock him out.
That's all right. You wanted to come back on live later, right?
Yeah, tonight I'm going to do a thing with Doc if he's around, because he's going to forge that knife for me at the apex of the eclipse.
Right. So why don't we just make it where we come on later tonight? We'll stream everywhere.
Let's do it.
That way everybody knows. We'll be back on tonight somewhere around what time?
Probably 11 o'clock, 11:15. The zenith of the apex is at 11:18 Central Time, 12:18 Eastern Time tonight. And so I'll probably do a conjuration over the fire using the tunneling effect of the technology and shit.
Do you want to let everybody know why we're doing it?
Why?
Why? Like, what's the significance? Like,
yeah. So there's a ritual blade that is being made for the for me with the Academy, and there's going to be animal bones and corpse fingers and all the ingredients inside this ritual piece, right? So forging a weapon with celestial energies, so it becomes a tool of magic made on a really unique day that won't happen again until sometime in 2030 something. So.
And this is how we make magical weapons.
Right? Pick a random occurrence that won't be repeatable and try to capitalize upon that energy and those signifiers of what makes that environment special for that night. Right? And so as we create a knife that might cut through dimensional barriers or might sever ties or might conjure the link between things, because there is an eclipse, sun, moon, earth, all in alignment, right? Every shadow on another shadow in alignment. Well, if you make something of those kinds of things where everything is one, what happens when you start using that to cut things into other worlds? So if you want to cut something into the world of light, well, how do you do it? Well, conjuration of the night tip, and then because of the solar attribute of the sun was involved on the shadow of the earth, so through the gates of shadow, you can tap into solar magic. Through the gates of shadow, you can tap into lunar magic because the Earth's shadow was on the moon, the Earth's shadow was on the sun's shadow was on the earth, and so on and so on and so on. So you can link to these things to the shadow planes because these are things that are elements of the reflection or the lack of reflection onto the surface. So it becomes a gateway.
There you go, guys. So if you want to learn more, be sure to tune in tonight at 11:30 here on the Facebook group, wherever. We will see you again.
Stay safe.
Don't be evil.
Don't hex other workers. All right. We'll see you later, guys. Thanks for joining in.